taken cognizance, something is being done. What about the other cases? The court, in fact, asked for details and data on the number of FIRs that have been filed, what kind of FIRs have been filed, how many are for sexual assault, I beg your pardon, how many are of sexual assault against women, what has been done about these, because the court was very, very clear on the fact that this video, even though this is the one that has gone viral, this was the trigger for the suo motu proceedings, but this is not the sole incident that has happened in Manipur, and women have been made to bear the brunt of the sectarian violence that is going on. They've said that you cannot justify what is happening by saying that this has happened elsewhere also. In fact, the court has asked for details of the FIRs, the multiple FIRs. Why was there delay in registering this particular FIR? Why was there delay in transferring the zero FIR to the specific police station? More importantly, the court has said, what about the role of the police? Because the victims who were before the court in a separate application, as well as several NGOs and other organizations, have pointed out the fact that the people in Manipur, whether they belong to the Kuki or the Meitei community, at the moment are terrified, they're traumatized, they do not trust the government or the police to help them out right now. In fact, the victims have specifically in their petition said, we do not believe that even a CBI inquiry will be fair. We want protection. We want a SIT probe headed by a judge and in fact under monitoring of the Supreme Court, because according to the victims, the police personnel weren't just negligent, they were in fact complicit in what happened to them. Senior Advocate Kapil Sibal, who was appearing on behalf of the two victims who were visible in that horrifying video, in fact said that they went to the police to ask for help. Instead of helping them, the police took the jeep towards the mob and then abandoned those women there. So a lot of questions.
Two quick questions right now, Anisha, before Anisha, just one quick question before I let you go. Number one, you had the likes of Advocate Indira Jaising, who got highly emotional, close to breaking down in court when she, tried to talk about the victims of the violence, touch upon that. And secondly, what's the timeline? When does the government need to come back with all the questions posed by the top court?
Well, the hearing is now tomorrow, Preeti. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. the Supreme Court wants the answers to the 5 specific questions that have been asked about FIRs, the number of the FIRs, type of FIRs, current status, whether the magistrate has taken statements or not, and how many are sexual assault FIRs, etc. Other than that, they've also asked for details of the funds allocated by the government for relief and rehabilitation, what kind of steps are being taken for the rehabilitation and help of the persons who've been the victim of this violence. As far as Senior Advocate Indira Jaising is concerned, Indira Jaising, Colin Gonsalves, Vrinda Grover and a number of other senior lawyers have brought up the trauma and the fear that the victims have been living with. Indira Jaising, of course, got quite emotional also during the hearing, but all of the petitioners, the NGOs, etc., which have come before the court, have pointed out that multiple fact-finding teams of activists, lawyers, NGOs, etc., have gone to Manipur, and all of them are showing the similar picture of traumatized victims who are afraid to go to the police, who are telling stories about the police and the government not helping them at all. In fact, one of the examples that was given by Indira Jaising as well as Vrinda Grover was the fact that traumatized women, especially the ones who've gone through this kind of sexual assault and public assault, will in fact be too scared to go before the police to give a statement or to go before the court again and again. And therefore, these petitioners have sought a mechanism to be put in place so that the fact-finding committees, especially committees of women and mental health care professionals, can go to the victims, to the relief camps and take their statements, which is a suggestion that the court has indicated that it may be seriously considering that it may actually pass such orders. But we'll have to wait till 2 p.m. tomorrow to see what the government says and subsequently what kind of orders are passed by the court. Back to you.
Anisha, thank you for joining us for that update there. Meanwhile, the situation in Manipur remains grim. Even as the violence gradually subsides, India Today continues to remain on ground zero and bring you the stories from there.
When violence triggered in the bordering areas of Manipur, it wasn't only confined in certain territories near the foothill and the valleys, but there was also tension flared up even in the capital Imphal, and that resulted that many people from different communities marked their building. That there was no, remember the valley is dominated by the Meitei community. Now here, since you have the Mering and Naga people community living here, they mark these houses that there are no cookies living here, but rather it is the houses belongs to Naga and the Meitei communities. Now Naga so far in the conflict have maintained a neutral stand, rather taking sides be it the Meitei community or the cookies community. But what interestingly in the capital, while visiting certain area, when the tension was flaring up, what we are seeing still these posters were put out at these houses that this is a Meitei building, and on rent who all are living here? They are the Meitei community living here. There are 3 Nepalese families living here. There are Marwadis and Biharis. So people from Marwad, Bihar, Nepal, and of course the Meitei people who have been living here. So this was to ensure there is no repercussion of the violence, and all the Meitei people mark their buildings. Of course, there was a courtyard of certain areas which was burned as it was believed to be belonging to some Kuki family. That was a small scale of violence. But ever since across the state in the valley and foothill area, the tension prevails. This area remains calm as it is being guarded, protected. Moreover, it is also the duty of the local MLA who also ensured peace in this region. But all I see this explains last 3 months of the situation, even in the capital Imphal.
Meanwhile, the opposition and the government locked horns over the Manipur violence. The opposition continued to demand Prime Minister Narendra Modi to speak on the violence in Manipur. Top government ministers accused the opposition of running away from discussions.
Manipur engulfing the monsoon session. The opposition India alliance demanding the Prime Minister make a statement in the House on the 3-month crisis in the northeastern state.
Nishikant Dubey, question number 142.
They are trying to misuse the liberty given to all the honorable members. When the government is ready to discuss Manipur, when the government has already acceded to the sense of the House that there should be a discussion on Manipur, they have already spoiled, sir, 9 days, 9 important days of the House.
Honorable members, when on this issue, the government is agreeable for a discussion at 2 p.m.
The opposition unsatisfied with this short duration discussion alone.
अगर एक बार कोई मणिपुर पहुंच जाएंगे ना सत्तारूढ़ पार्टी के नेतागण, तो यहाँ आके इस तरीके की हेजुअल बयानबाजी करने में उनको दिल नहीं लगेगा. अगर उनके अंदर मानवता रहे तो मणिपुर की हालत संगीन है.
लगता है कि सरकार अगर अभी भी प्रोएक्टिव ना हो, प्रधानमंत्री जी सदन में आकर के संदेश ना दें, हो क्या आया? मणिपुर के लोग अपनी सामूहिक पीड़ा को जल्दी भूलेंगे नहीं.
I'm reading 267.
Last week, the opposition brought in a no-trust motion as part of its demand to seek the Prime Minister's statement on Manipur on the floor of the House.
सदन में हम चर्चा करने के लिए जब तैयार है, जब सदन चल रहा है, तो बाहर जाके ऐसे स्टेटमेंट तो देख के आए ना, जो बोलना है सदन में बोलने दो, जो उसको उस विषय पर जो उत्तर देना है, रिप्लाई देना है, चर्चा करना है, वो सब के लिए सरकार तैयार है. ये बार बार हम इन लोगों को रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, अपील कर रहे हैं.
विपक्ष की जिम्मेदारी होती है कि मसला शांतिपूर्ण समाधान की ओर बढ़े, और ऐसे मसले पे भी वो राजनीति कर रहे हैं. ऐसे मसले पे तो राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए. राजनीति के बहुत अवसर हैं जी, और आप चर्चा के लिए हम तैयार हैं.
The House is adjourned to meet at 3:30 p.m. today.
Repeating uproar ignored the chair's appeals for silence. Congress accused the ruling BJP of ducking the demand for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement in Parliament on Manipur.
The leader of the House says he is ready to discuss and deliberate right now.
The opposition chants for the Prime Minister's presence in the Rajya Sabha on Monday, insistent on his statement, followed by Parliament discussing Manipur in detail.
Why can't the Prime Minister come? We are all ready to discuss Manipur. Manipur is the issue. Our delegation went. We want to discuss Manipur we want to discuss Manipur under the emergency rule, not one under toast and butter rule of 176. वो नहीं होता है 1.5 घंटा 2 घंटा का discussion. वो toast and butter rule है. We want a full meal discussion on Manipur.
The call for the Prime Minister's statement remains, while Manipur's plight awaits sustainable resolution. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now second.
All right, moving on, Prime Minister Modi and NCP Chief Sharad Pawar will share the stage for an award function on Tuesday when Modi is expected to visit Pune. However, Pawar's allies are upset with his move to share stage with the Prime Minister of the country, despite of all that has gone down within his own parties a short while ago.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sharad Pawar are set to share a stage at an award function in Pune on Tuesday. The Prime Minister will be conferred with the 2023 Lokmanya Tilak National Award at the event, where Pawar will be the chief guest. This will be the first time the political rivals come face to face after the big NCP split, with a faction led by Ajit Pawar joining the Eknath Shinde government in Maharashtra. Sharad Pawar's allies are upset that the Maratha leader is meeting the Prime Minister and felicitating him. They've planned a black flag protest against the Prime Minister's visit.
Democracy is at the stake, and therefore I feel he is a senior person, he is the most learned person, and he should think of it. Whether he should reconsider. I won't make any comment on that. He is more intelligent and more matured and more senior leader of the country. And therefore I always respect him. He himself should think it what he should do in the present situation.
While the Udhav Sena has made its displeasure public, the Congress has reacted with caution.
तिलक जी के लिए उनका आदर भाव है, इसलिए उस आदर भाव के कारण वो उस आमंत्रण को स्वीकार करने के लिए उस पुरस्कार समारोह में जा रहे हैं. और फिर शरद पवार जी, इसीलिए तो शरद पवार हैं, वो कुछ लीग से हट करके कदम उठाते हैं.
Rohit Tilak, the great grandson of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and the award ceremony organizer, claims there is no politics behind the event.
It was given to Manmohan Singh ji also, Indira ji also, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji also, Sharad Pawar ji also. So it is not like a particular party has been given, honored by this award. It is all those who have worked in the vision what Lokmanya Tilak ji had given that time or what he had dreamt. I don't think this issue has to be politicized.
Meanwhile, Youth Congress workers have put up Go Back Modi posters at various locations in Pune, asking the Prime Minister to visit Manipur and face Parliament before coming to the city. With Pankaj Khelkar in Pune, Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me with the latest is my colleague Pankaj Khelkar live. Pankaj, what is the plan as of now? Has Sharad Pawar confirmed, has his party or his faction of the party confirmed that he will be sharing the dais with Prime Minister Modi?
Preeti, over here in Pune, the NCP leader, city chief Prashant Jagtap has confirmed that yes, indeed, Sharad Pawar, what he has decided, he will be sharing dais with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Apart from Narendra Modi ji, Ajit Pawar, his nephew, who has left Ajit Pawar with a chunk of MLAs, will also be on the dais. So it is a confirmation from NCP itself that Sharad Pawar had decided long back that he will be going, and he will be going is not the only point that has been raised, but it was Pawar who played an important role in like inviting Narendra Modi ji, or he helped the organizers to go to Narendra Modi ji's office and invite him and made him accept this award, which is said to be a prestigious award of this region.
All right, Pankaj, appreciate you joining us with that quick update. We're going to come back to you for more updates because it's bound to call a bit of a political upheaval where Maharashtra is concerned. With that, I'm going to go into a break. Stay with us. On the other side is our fact check segment.
Several villages in Turbang areas were burned in the ethnic clashes, the violence and all. I see only the footprints, everything that burned to these ashes. They blame for everything that is happening here to the Cookie government.
We are only defending ourselves.
There is a literally line of this area towards the Cookie side where you have a huge number of bunkers. No one could ever imagine that in a state, in the same country, in the same district, we will ever see such situation which has become a battlefield. And I could say this is a war zone in Manipur.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting. Only on India Today TV.
Soon, we shall bid adieu to the Twitter brand. These words by Elon Musk rattled the entire tech space this week. Musk rebranded the 10-year-old Bluebird Twitter logo with the letter X, ushering in a new era for the company. This is a step towards Musk's dream of making Twitter an everything app. Something on the lines of China's WeChat. X aims include social media, instant messaging, and payment services. Twitter Chief Executive Linda Yaccarino described X as including audio, video, messaging, and banking capabilities. This major news broke the internet as there were mixed reactions from people all across the world. The reactions ranged from eye rolls to sarcasm to jokes about X-Men. A few netizens described the move as unfathomably dumb. App human trafficking, branding suicide, and dumbest decision ever taken. But why is Musk doing it? Well, the tech billionaire has an affinity for the letter X that goes back to 1999, when he founded an online banking startup called X.com. This later merged with another company that eventually became PayPal. He repurchased the URL x.com in 2017 that now directs visitors to Twitter. SpaceX, Tesla Model X, naming his son and the AI chatbot XAI are proof of Musk's X obsession. No wonder then he was waiting to change the Twitter logo too. For now, no new features have been announced after the brand logo change. However, just like Twitter paid service, Musk has always been about create the hype and deliver much later. Twitter CEO has told the company employees that they are writing history with the new transition. While Twitter or X does sound ambitious at the moment, it is also struggling to attract advertisers. The company will also have to look at getting better staff and infrastructure, which is a difficult ask at a time when it is buried under multiple lawsuits regarding unpaid bills and layoffs. Was rebranding Twitter a smart move by Elon Musk, or is it just a stupid decision? Well, the verdict is still out on that, but we do know that it is finally time to bid farewell to the beloved Twitter Bluebird.
You are watching Fact Check segment where we bust fake news. Intense rains in Gujarat on 23 June reportedly led to widespread flood-like conditions in the western state. In its aftermath, a video making the rounds on social media claimed to show a building in the state collapsing because of the rains. The viral video showed a multi-story yellow building toppling down and collapsing into rubble as it hit the ground. India Today found that the video is neither from Gujarat nor from Himachal Pradesh. In fact, it's not even from India. It's from Tibet. Our fact-check team found that the incident took place in the Xiangra township in Tibet's autonomous region, where a building built on the edge of a river collapsed and was washed away. According to a report, persistent torrential rain triggered the building's collapse on 8 July 2017. Because of a sharp increase in the water level of the Zik River, the foundation of the building was washed away. This led to its collapse. This fact check on viral fake news is done by India Today's team Afwa. With that, a quick break. Stay with us for the latest news and updates. This is AI Sana signing off.
Is the rally overdone or are we just starting?
Actually, in March, if you look at my Twitter feed, I had tweeted on March 28th that this was the perfect time to get into the markets, that I did not know whether it was the exact bottom, but it was certainly somewhere around the bottom. And also that, we all understand the risk of being in the market. But this was a time when the risk was more in not being invested and therefore missing out on an up move. So at that time, the index was in the 16,900 range. I mean, the Nifty. Of course, it has had a run since then. But even so, my assessment still is that the risk is still of missing out on an up move relative to a crash. I do not see a risk of a crash very imminent. And I still think we are closer to the beginning rather than the end of the run-up.
For the first 6 months, which ended on June 30th, the two portfolios that Devina manages have outperformed both the Nifty as also by their peers very handsomely. So it's a 10.5% gain on First Global IS 50 in the past 6 months compared with the 6.5% index appreciation that you've seen. And the First Global IMAP, which has an overlay of a lot of gilt as well as gold, is still up 9.5%. Devina, as I was scrolling through your portfolio, amongst the top 10 odd stocks, you have three IT companies, of course, two very well known, Infosys as well as TCS, and one mid cap that has done wonders, which is Nucleus Software. Overall, the software sector hasn't done much. The index just up about 2% year to date. What do you think is going wrong? Do we have to wait much longer, or is the Indian software story now getting a little jaded?
Actually, Shell, the thing is this, that if you looked at it last year, first half also, IT did not do very well, IT services. And at that time, the logic for it not doing well was supposed to be that the whole world is digitizing and there is so much demand for people with technology backgrounds that they will not get enough employees. The employees will be too expensive and therefore costs will go up and margins will get squeezed. This year, the story is supposed to be something the entirely opposite. If you go to the base of it, saying that there will not be demand. So, both cannot be true. So I think, this is a little overdone because what had happened was that there was a slowdown in some of the Western economies. So what happens is that the orders you're supposed to get this quarter get pushed and may go on to the next quarter. But it is not as if that fundamentally something has gone totally wrong with the industry and it will never revive, because the whole move towards even non-technology companies becoming more digital, more technology oriented is not going to go away. So we are not super bullish on the sector, but we are still slightly overweight on the sector.
Co-powered by New Hero Zoom. Go big, go zoom. Gee, there's only one.
सभी महानुभावों को 2024 में अविश्वास प्रस्ताव लाने का निमंत्रण
5 years ago, 2018 monsoon session of Parliament. The opposition moved a no-confidence motion against the Modi government over the Rafale deal. It was defeated, 126 votes to 325 of the Treasury benches. The 12-hour-long debate set the tone for the Lok Sabha battle 2019. The BJP won the election as it won the trust vote. As it won the trust vote, the BJP also won the election with an even bigger majority than it got in 2014. July 26th monsoon session 2023. Opposition moves a no-trust motion against the government. The opposition makes Manipur the focus of the no-confidence motion. The opposition makes Manipur the focus of the no-confidence motion. The BJP will trump again. They have the numbers. But this time, is it just a battle of numbers, but also a battle of perception? Will the no-confidence motion set the tone for election 2024? Team India in Parliament going after the government on Parliament rules. Asks, can bills be passed after no trust motion admitted?
अविश्वास प्रस्ताव पे जिस दिन भी स्पीकर महोदय चाहेंगे चर्चा शुरू करें। सरकार चर्चा के लिए तैयार है और हम चाहते हैं ज्यादा से ज्यादा सांसद उसमें भाग लें और देश को भी विपक्ष का असली चेहरा नजर आए।
An adjournment motion notice in the Lok Sabha and Rule 267 notice in the Rajya Sabha requesting the government to come forward and commence a discussion. If the BJP is so eager to accept our demands and convene a discussion, they should pick up any of the notices.
Sansad Showdown top focus on To The Point this evening. Before we cut across to our political guests, I want to cut across to Mr. Preeti Achari, former Secretary General Lok Sabha. Appreciate you joining, sir. For the benefit of our viewers, I want you to possibly, lead to an understanding of sorts on what the opposition claims by quoting Article 75(3) of the Constitution of India with Rule 198, paragraph 2. Stating that once a no confidence or a no trust vote motion has been admitted, no business can take place. Is that correct, sir, constitutionally speaking?
Well, there is no rule which says that the government shall not bring any major legislation or make any major policy announcement. But there has been a parliamentary convention under which the government will not announce any major policy or will not bring any major legislation before the House when the House is given permission for the no confidence motion to be brought in. Now, so that has been a convention. And I think in the world over, wherever the parliamentary system is involved, certainly this convention is honored. So here also, in our country also, this convention has been honored in the past.
So, Mr. Preeti Achari, with the, because a lot gets lost in quoting rules where the constitution is concerned, especially where the layman comes into question. So, what you're saying, sir, and I want to just try to elucidate that there is no constitutional rule break if business is conducted like the passage of bills which is taking place, even though a no confidence motion has been admitted. But in a way, there was precedence has demanded that convention has demanded that it should have been honored. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mr. Preeti Achari, if, have there been instances, sir, in the past where a no confidence motion has been admitted and yet the passage of bills has continued even before the discussion on the no trust vote or a no trust vote is tabled?
Well, as far as I remember, no major legislation was brought in. And as I already explained, this convention, parliamentary convention, has been honored by and large. So, of course, if there is something which is very urgent, then of course that can be done. But otherwise, as a convention, certainly the governments will not bring any major policy or announce any major policy decisions, or will not bring any major legislation before the House until the no confidence motion is disposed of. So that has been the practice in the past.
So that has been the practice in the past, but clearly that hasn't taken place, especially in this particular monsoon session. But is this also the convention internationally, Mr. Acharya?
Well, as I explained in the beginning, wherever the parliamentary system is there, after all, we have borrowed it from the House of Commons, and in the House of Commons, this has been the practice, and in all the Commonwealth countries, this has been the practice. So was in India, that is it. But of course, if a government is determined to bring a legislation, a major legislation, or make a policy announcement, there is nothing in the rule which prevents the government from doing that. As I said, it's a parliamentary convention.
I appreciate you joining us with that clarity, Mr. PDT Acharya. Appreciate you joining us, sir, taking the time out and explaining it to our viewers, because there seems to be a contradiction of sorts and very well explained by you. Convention demands that the government should have, or the parliament should have not passed any bills or any major business until and unless it was deemed urgent till the discussion on the no confidence motion and possibly the vote of no confidence motion. Thank you, sir, for breaking it down for us. I want to now cut across to our political panelists. I have Rohan Gupta, National Spokesperson, Congress, and Anila Singh, Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. Rohan Gupta, let me come to you first. Yes, there has been, we just heard Mr. PDT Acharya, there's been precedents very clearly. There has been parliamentary convention where if there is a no confidence motion which has been moved, accepted, then till the time it has been voted upon, there is no passage of major bills, or there is no major business until and unless deemed as an emergency. But there is no rule. So the sheer fact that the likes of your own party leaders like Manish Tiwari quoting various rule books, asking the Parliament and the Speaker to possibly adhere to what is part of the Constitution, it doesn't quite exist. There is no way that a rule has been broken, Rohan Gupta. It's convention. It's up to the government.
That's what I'm saying. See, our parliamentary democracy has conventions. There are, the precedents which are there. And obviously, nothing is 100% which is governed by rule in democracy. And that's what I'm saying. That whenever party says that this party has killed the democracy, they have created the new Sansad Bhavan, but they have removed the soul of Sansad. That is what is happening, and it is at display every day. Whether it is Manipur issue, whether it is following the rules, following the convention, this party has ensured that they crush the democracy. They have disrespected parliament on number of occasions, and this is another example. And today, Preeti, if you see the way Supreme Court has taken BJP central government and the state government at task, they have absolutely no moral grounds that Mr. CM continues on his post. The Supreme Court has clearly asked what was police doing. Why no action was taken? Why there was no zero FIR? And even after that, if you see that the CM of the state continues, I think there cannot be bigger mockery of democracy than this. And this government has now, this is upon the country to decide that which kind of government they have voted for. And it is upon BJP to reply to the country where they are taking our democracy now.
Anila Singh, the belligerence of it all is, cannot be missed. And why I say that is, you just had one of the biggest constitutional experts in the country who has absolutely no political lineage, and he made or ideology where he bends towards a particular party, and he's made that very clear, Anila Singh, that convention has demanded that no business be conducted till the time the no confidence motion is tabled and voted upon. There is no breaking of rules. But do you not think that the government completely, looking over on what has been past precedents, what has been parliamentary convention, not just in India, but world over? There's been no other instance in the country like this, at least what we can recall. Ma'am, you're on mute.
My Ram Ram to everyone. And Preeti, you're absolutely right when you tell about the precedents, when you tell about the practices, but at the same time, when the constitution was made, when the parliament of this great country was made, it was made a place where the chosen member of parliament should discuss, decide for the countrymen or the voters whom they have voted for. The reality is, if we talk about this session as well, since 20th of July, it is logjam. Why? Government says that we want to discuss, let us debate. But they do not want to discuss, they do not want to debate, they want to create ruckus.
No, I think Anila Singh, you're getting it wrong. It's nothing to do with Manipur, madam. A confidence motion and no trust. Ma'am, hear my question out. Anila Singh, please hear my question out and then answer. Okay, let me rephrase. Okay, maybe.
You are saying that the Congress party has raised a query that...
Ma'am, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the Congress party has raised any query. Let me re-articulate. Okay, madam, okay. Maybe, okay. Let me re-articulate my question. It's not about the discussion on Manipur. It's not about that. It is about not what the Congress party has done. It is about a united opposition. India, which what they have called themselves, have come together and moved a no confidence motion against your government. Now, as per rule, which is parliamentary rule, 10-day period can be given by the speaker till discussion on the no confidence motion or the debate takes place, and then it is up to a vote. Now, in that 10-day period, madam, as per convention, which has been parliamentary convention, which has been precedence, never has business been conducted. Your government continues to conduct business and pass bills which are completely bucking what parliamentary convention in the country and internationally is, madam. That's the question.
Preeti, I got you earlier also. You do not have to explain me that elaborately. Even I want to ask, even I want to know that you are talking that why bills are being discussed, why bills are being passed when no confidence motion debate is waited for. All right, this is what you are asking in simple words. And this is what even Congress party or INDIA opposition is asking from the ruling government or the member of parliament who are present in the parliament, who have discussed about all those bills and they have been passed as well. So on that only I was saying that parliament is the place to discuss, debate and pass the bills and make laws on them so that benefit to the citizens of this great country should be forwarded to. But the reality is when they are not going to debate, they do not want to discuss, they will bring no confidence motion and
but madam, it's been admitted that's
we are not going to let the parliament work.
Anila Singh, madam, the no confidence motion has been admitted, it's been accepted by the speaker.
Okay, fine, if you do not want, let me complete. Every time you are interjecting.
Madam, you're not understanding the debate.
No. We are not going to follow any sort of the precedents. We are here to serve the nation. We are here to serve
okay, ma'am, say that then.
We are here to serve.
Okay. Then say that. All right, Rohan Gupta, Anila Singh says the BJP is not here to follow any precedents, any convention, and they're not breaking any rule. They are not breaking any parliamentary rule. So why make it about rules?
When they are not letting parliament work.
See then, what is the meaning of...
Even this session is washing out. Since
they are not even following the rules.
It is not working.
Can I come in?
One second, let us finish.
About that?
I think she
Mr. Rohan Gupta, go ahead, please.
Yeah,
answer.
I would reply. Yeah, see, basically, whether it is rules or conventions, BJP doesn't believe in following the same. If you talk about rules also, we asked for the discussion under 267. Manipur is a serious issue. All our MPs, the representative MPs, they went to Manipur. They had prepared the list of suggestions to be discussed in Parliament. They wanted PM to give the statement and they wanted discussion under 267 even today. So even they are not following that rule also. Manipur, which has been burning for last 2.5 months, they want to finish discussion in 2.5 hours under 176. So what are you talking? The party which is not ready to follow the rules also, how do you expect them to follow the conventions? Obviously, the parliamentary democracy, BJP has crushed the voice of parliament, whether it is note ban or the farm laws, the black farm laws.
But no, 1 second. But Rohan Gupta, why make it about that the government is crushing constitutional rules, bending rules? It's not doing that. It's well within the government's ambit and right to not follow what has been convention, to not follow what has been past precedents.
In a parliamentary democracy, you have to follow the conventions. That is what we are saying. You have to follow that. So here, neither they are following the convention, nor they are following the rule. For them, they are the police, they are the thief, they are the judge. Once they decide something is wrong, everything is wrong. Once they decide that somebody is anti-national, everybody is anti-national. Whoever speaks against them is anti-national. Why this government is mum on comment of Supreme Court today?
Okay,
Why
Anila
they
Singh,
are silent? When
Anila
Supreme
Singh,
Court
once
says
again I'll
that
come
this
back.
government has not
Anila
acted,
Singh, once
the
again I
police
will
has
come
not
back to
acted,
the no
why
trust
they are
vote.
silent?
By saying that they are holding the parliament to ransom, which cuts both ways, you are saying that bills will continue to be passed. Who's stopping you from holding a discussion and a debate on a trust vote tomorrow? Why aren't you doing that?
That honorable chair has to decide.
So therefore, if the honorable chair has to decide, madam, I rejoin the question. No, I agree. Madam, I agree. So if the honorable chair has to decide, then the honorable chair would usually, I would reckon, as the constitutional experts say, would follow or should follow what has been parliamentary convention and parliamentary practice, which is because if the opposition raises a no trust motion against a government, they are saying they don't trust the cabinet of ministers. So how can business and bills be passed by that same cabinet ministers that have been questioned, madam?
So, Preeti ji, you are trying to say that Mr. Om Birla doesn't have any knowledge of parliamentary affairs. He doesn't know how to run the parliament, and he is so much influenced by the NDA government, or especially if I talk about BJP leadership, that he is going to say, he is going to do what Honorable Prime Minister or the Council of Ministers from the BJP or the NDA government instructs him. It is not like that. It is not like that, Mr. Choudhry. And you are talking about the convention, then you should tell the INDIA spokesperson as well what they are doing. Are they doing any sort of benefit to this nation? This logjam is bringing any benefit to the citizens of this great country?
Madam, okay, you know, one second, madam, you know, let's, okay, for somebody, okay, okay, it happens both sides, ma'am. Your own leaders, Ms. Sushma Swaraj and Mr. Arun Jaitley, had very well said to hold the parliament ransom is what, to quote unquote you, is also a part of democracy and democratic right. Right? It had come from your own party people. I will come back to the question which I am asking you, which is, what is the urgent need of passing bills and conducting business when a no trust vote or a no trust motion has been submitted and admitted?
I will throw a counter question, not to you, but to Mr. Rohan Gupta. Why you people are so obstinate? Why don't you start discussion? Why you people are dictating terms and conditions? And you are holding parliament on ransom. You are saying that the hard-earned taxpayers' money should go down the drains, but we are not going to let parliament function. This is what INDIA, opposition party, is doing in today's date. And they
Madam, do you admit? Okay, I want to ask you. Okay, I want to bring it. Okay, you pose that question to Rohan Gupta and let him answer this. But I'll ask you one question. Are you admitting, ma'am, that there is no need to follow convention? There is no need to follow what is passed parliamentary convention or precedents, even though internationally it is followed as well?
So what you are saying is that in parliament, if discussion happens on the bill, and there is one very reluctant and obstinate opposition in the form of INDIA, they do not want parliament to function. So whole of the parliament should stand still and we can keep waiting. Whether it is.
Ma'am, I'll ask that question again. I'll ask that question again.
You are not going to put your words in my mouth.
I'm not putting, I'm asking, and I am not, madam, no way. Miss Anila Singh, no way am I trying to put any words in your mouth, ma'am. I'm asking you a direct question. As the constitutional expert, who you must have heard of, said very clearly that no, there is no rule, but in the history of the Indian Parliament, as far as we can recall, if there is a trust motion which has been moved or a no confidence motion which has been moved, then no business or bills are passed until and unless deemed urgent. You're doing otherwise. So you're bucking what has been convention. My question is that, do you agree that you don't care about what has been parliamentary convention? That's my question.
If parliament, no, even I am saying that. I am no one to say that whether the convention should be followed or not followed. I know one thing, that parliament is a place to discuss bills, discuss policies, and those bills should be passed, policies should be made so that country should be benefited. When they are not going to...
Rohan Gupta, you are holding the parliament to ransom. That's the charge by the BJP. You are not living up to what should be a responsible opposition. Therefore, why should past precedents or parliamentary conventions be followed?
See, Preeti, under Rule 198 by 2, it gives Speaker 10 days to decide the discussion on the no confidence motion, right? That is under process. Within those 10 days, obviously there is absolutely no business for this government to discuss any bills. It is more, rather than convention, is more about logic. When the opposition has presented no confidence motion, when there are 10 days under which the speaker has to decide the process of it, and you are passing on the bills. So I feel it is more of a logic rather than convention, number one. Number two, they are talking about taking parliament to ransom.
No, sir, it's not a rule. It's not a rule. The rule that you are quoting, which you are trying to read with article, well, okay, I'm going to put that whole graphic right out there. It's not a rule. It's not a parliamentary rule. It's parliamentary convention.
No, just listen to me. Just let me.
Yes.
Under 198 by 2, it gives 10 days to speaker to decide the process of no confidence motion. Am I right? Okay.
True.
So now I am saying, after this rule is there, when 10 days is given to speaker to decide the process of no confidence, do you feel it is logical or fair for government to discuss the bills?
But exactly, so it's convention, sir. The government is well within its right to do so. They're not breaking any parliamentary rule which you're trying to project.
That's what I'm saying, Preeti. I started, that's what I'm saying. So you don't expect this government either to follow the convention or the soul of the parliament,
I'm
or
terribly
follow
out
the
of
rules.
time.
All three cases,
I'm going to quickly close this debate. I appreciate both of you for joining us. We'll know in days to come how things pan out where the parliament is concerned. But what we are headed towards is a washout in this monsoon session. But there will be major bills that will be tabled even before the no trust motion is taken up. A quick break up next. Rahul Kapil.
What's up with this child? Do your children behave similarly sometimes? Extremely active, driving you up the wall? Unable to sleep at night after a big dessert? Now that is called a sugar rush. A sugar rush is when you have sudden cravings of indulging into a massive ice cream sundae or gorging on an entire bar of melted chocolate that then makes you feel happy and so satisfied. Almost all of us have fallen prey to these cravings. But how does your body react to this? Once the sugar rush comes to an end, it eventually causes low blood sugar levels in the body, which tends to make you feel hungry even after eating. Consumption of sugar in heavy amounts is one of the most unhealthy habits. It makes you feel tired and drowsy, and these symptoms eventually lead to weight gain and being inactive. Food products like candies, pre-packed items and cakes provide no nutritional benefit and ultimately ends up making you feel lethargic and fatigued. Experts recommend limited sugar intake. The ideal portions are as follows for kids and also for adult men and women. For a kid who's 4 to 6 years old, 19 grams of sugar, that's essentially 5 sugar cubes, is the limited sugar intake that's recommended. A kid between the age of 7 to 10 can consume 24 grams, that's 6 cubes of sugar. If a child is 11 years old and above, that amount slightly increases to 30 grams, which is essentially 7 cubes of sugar. For adults, particularly men, 36 grams of sugar is the recommended amount, that's 9 teaspoons of sugar. For women, it's slightly lesser at 20 grams, which is equivalent to 5 teaspoons. And for children, it's 12 grams, that's 3 teaspoons of sugar. Basically, children older than 2 years should consume less than 25 grams of sugar a day, and children who've not reached this age shouldn't be given any additional sugar other than what's naturally present in foods. So what are the signs and symptoms in kids to watch out for? Increased urination, increased thirst as well, fat levels going up, fruity breath odor, stomachache, constantly vomiting as well, and even seeing a weight loss. Sugar has many effects on memory as well as the brain. It slows cognitive functions, it leads to deficits in memory. Problems with attention and inflammation in the brain even has been recognized by experts. Sugar rush is when the rush of adrenaline that gives your child energy and causes their heart to beat faster, their brain to be more alert, and their body to go into fight or flight. So they also become anxious and jittery. Their bodies then start to look for more sugary foods to combat those feelings. So how to manage sugar rush in kids? Do not use sweets or any food as a reward. Using them in this way can make them more desirable to children than if they had not been used as a reward, and can unintentionally lead your child to rely on food or sweets to deal with their emotions. Serve sweets without any stipulations.
Plans in single specialty healthcare businesses is quite impressive. Can you tell us more about this expansion strategy?
Yes, Sunita, also there is another, so ophthalmology was one. So as you know that that is an investment that we made direct through TPG Growth and not through AHH, which is in Dr. Agarwal's, which is the largest eye care chain in the country. So if we look at within our fold, we have done actually 4 specialties already. We did cancer, we did mother and child, we have done IVF, we have done through the TPG Growth ecosystem, we have done ophthalmology. A couple of areas which look, which again fit very well into the economics of a standalone single specialty box. One is gastroenterology, because there, whether it's outpatient gastroenterology or inpatient gastroenterology, it's like a self-served specialty in itself. Which transits from outpatient GI to inpatient work, particularly around the minimally invasive surgical work that happens today. That is one. We are excited by the prospects of urology, nephrology, because there again, these are 2 specialties that function well together. We've been looking at the right opportunity in the pathology diagnostic space, because we believe that now the large ecosystem that we run at AHH, having our own pathology services company also as a part of this whole ecosystem will power us a lot more. If we have our own enterprise in that space. So these are a couple of areas. So Nitu, the thing is also that not every specialty actually falls under the single specialty box.
That's a wide range of specialties, Mr. Bali. Can you also explain the rationale behind these specific areas of focus?
As I said, that in that space, we see a massive gap in neonatology around the country, right? Because childbirth does not stop only with the mother. Childbirth continues with the newborn. And newborn mortality in this country is significantly high. So if we have to reduce newborn mortality in this country, you need good neonatal care along with good obstetrics care and good gynec care in the tier 2 cities around the country too. So I see a big opportunity and a white space there, which can be fulfilled by players like Motherhood. And that is exactly what we are doing, through Motherhood in terms of using technology, using clinical acumen, using infrastructure, creating a standardized box model, which has all services built in and not just only birthing. So we have now already invested close to about $200 million in AHH. And this has happened over 5 years' time. So if I were to, put a lens on the next 5 years, I would say that this could double up.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Ply Club Prime, Raho Befikar. Co-presented by Macho Hind, Bade Aaram Se. Co-powered by the new Kia Seltos, the badass reborn. Co-powered by Sera, this is your space, play it your way. Co-powered by Nippon India Mutual Fund, wealth sets you free.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. Who's responsible at this stage for holding back a discussion on the all-important issue of Manipur in Parliament? That's my top focus on the news track.
8 days, no Manipur debate yet.
Are they running away from the debate? They are giving notices.
Parliament round, but paralyzed.
विपक्ष रोज पार्लियामेंट को चलने नहीं दे रहे.
BJP points angry finger at stalling opposition.
We want a discussion and the Prime Minister has to open his mouth. Manipur.
Opposition fires back, says Prime Minister evading.
सभा की कार्यवाही मंगलवार 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है.
Manipur's fate hostage to politics. That is a big focus on News Track.
It's been 8 days and there has been no debate on Manipur in Parliament yet. The opposition MPs have travelled to Ground Zero, given notices for discussion and even moved a no-confidence motion against the Modi government. The centre, for its part, maintains that it is ready for debate and that it is the opposition that continues to scuttle a discussion on this sensitive issue. Our National Bureau with our top story tonight.
Manipur engulfing the monsoon session. The opposition India alliance demanding the Prime Minister make a statement in the House on the 3-month crisis in the northeastern state.
Nishikant Dubey, question number 142. They are trying to misuse the liberty given to all the honourable members. When the government is ready to discuss Manipur, when the government has already acceded to the sense of the House that there should be a discussion on Manipur, they have already spoiled, sir, 9 days, 9 important days of the House. Honourable members, when on this issue, the government is agreeable for a discussion at 2 p.m.
The opposition unsatisfied with this short duration discussion alone.
अगर एक बार कोई मणिपुर पहुंच जाएंगे ना सत्तारूढ़ पार्टी के नेतागण तो यहाँ आके इस तरीके की हेजुअल बयानबाजी करने में उनको दिल नहीं लगेगा. अगर उनके अंदर मानवता रहे तो मणिपुर की हालत संगीन है.
लगता है कि सरकार अगर अभी भी प्रोएक्टिव ना हो, प्रधानमंत्री जी सदन में आकर के संदेश ना दें, हो क्या है, मणिपुर के लोग अपनी सामूहिक पीड़ा को जल्दी भूलेंगे नहीं.
I'm reading 267.
Last week, the opposition brought in a no-trust motion as part of its demand to seek the Prime Minister's statement on Manipur on the floor of the House.
सदन में हम चर्चा करने के लिए जब तैयार है, जब सदन चल रहा है,
तो बाहर जाके ऐसे स्टेट में तो देख के आए ना, जो बोलना है सदन में बोलने दो, जो उसको उस विषय पर जो उत्तर देना है, रिप्लाई देना है, चर्चा करना है, वो सब के लिए सरकार तैयार है। ये बार बार हम इन लोगों को रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, अपील कर रहे हैं।
विपक्ष की जिम्मेदारी होती है कि मसला शांतिपूर्ण समाधान की ओर बढ़े, और ऐसे मसले पे भी वो राजनीति कर रहे हैं। ऐसे मसले पे तो राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए। राजनीति के बहुत अवसर हैं जी, और आप चर्चा के लिए हम तैयार हैं।
The House is adjourned to meet at 3:30 p.m. today.
Repeating uproar ignored the chair's appeals for silence. Congress accused the ruling BJP of ducking the demand for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement in Parliament on Manipur.
The leader of the House says he is ready to discuss and deliberate right now.
The opposition chants for the Prime Minister's presence in the Rajya Sabha on Monday, insistent on his statement, followed by Parliament discussing Manipur in detail.
Why can't the Prime Minister come? We are all ready to discuss Manipur. Manipur is the issue. Our delegation went. We want to discuss Manipur. We want to discuss Manipur under the emergency rule, not one under टोस्ट एंड बटर रूल ऑफ 176. वो नहीं होता है 1.5 घंटा 2 घंटा का डिस्कशन, वो टोस्ट एंड बटर रूल है. वी वांट अ फुल मील डिस्कशन ऑन मणिपुर.
The call for the Prime Minister's statement remains, while Manipur's plight awaits sustainable resolution. Bureau Report, India Today.
The centre maintains that the situation in Manipur is getting better. India Today's Ashutosh Mishra is on ground zero, reporting non-stop from the conflict zone. His latest dispatch is from Fayang village in West Imphal, where fear is still palpable.
An uneasy calm prevails in the strife-torn state of Manipur. Manipur, famously known as the jewel of India's northeast, continues to be tense. While the government claims that all efforts are being taken to restore peace and normalcy in the area, the on-ground situation remains volatile in the conflict zone.
During the daylight, since when the curfew is lifted, all you see some vehicular movements, the ration, the food stock being sent to these villages. But when the day goes dark, all you see absolute silence in these areas. The peace committees, the protection committees carry out a meet every day and every night. It is challenging for the people in this conflict zone of Manipur.
As the day ends, women in this village take charge at the barricades, which separates the national highways from border areas of their village.
हमारा गांव कुकियों से अपने आप को बचाने के लिए दिन रात यहाँ सोए खाए बिना हम लोग अपने गांव की रखवाली करें, और हमारे जान में जब तक जान है हम अपनी गांव अपने राज्य की हम रक्षा करेंगे. हमारे दिल में एक डर है कि जो हमारे भाई बहन जो भी बाहर में है उनके साथ क्या होगा.
Young men residing in the Meitei village say their brotherhood with the Kuki community has turned into enmity due to the ongoing conflict, and they fear for their lives.
अब यहाँ पे ऐसा हो गया, मतलब हम तो अपना गांव रक्षा कर रहे हैं, वो लोग अटैकिंग कर रहे हैं ज़्यादातर. मेनली जो है वो लोग जो है अटैकिंग मोड पे है, मतलब वो कब्जा करना चाहते हैं. फिर भी हम लोग क्या करें, हम लोग अपने विलेज को डिफेंस कर रहे हैं.
En route Phayang village, we found young boys with elderly men guarding stretches of the village border, all heavily armed. Armed Meitei men say it's their duty to protect their land.
These are the Meitei people guarding their village territories. There's 41-year-old and he is 22-year-old. By this time, he was supposed to be in university or the colleges. But now all you see, gun in the hand, and now they are guarding their territory from their enemies. And enemies are who? With whom they have played, spent lives so far. All of a sudden, they have become arch rival and mortal enemies.
Like a conflict zone, Many tactical steps too have been taken by Meiteis to ensure their safety.
Men have gone to the border areas of their village in the bunkers with the weapons. As far as these streets are concerned, despite the solar lights available, there you see all these lights are covered, because where I'm standing moment is directly in the range of firing zone between these two communities. This side guarded by Meiteis, whereas the right opposite in 180 degree towards my right hand, you have the Kuki community's bunker from their defense.
The situation remains tense in the areas of conflict. The enmity has turned so bitter that the communities who grew up together are now pointing guns at each other.
For now, the peace is missing and lives are more than disrupted. The both sides have lost lives, their loved ones, their family members. But for now, while they are blazing guns against each other, the ensuring peace remains an uphill task in the conflict zone and war zone of Manipur. At this ground zero in Manipur with Sanjay Kumar, I am Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
There's a sense of deja vu in all of this. This could have well been last week. We could have had the same news track discussion, who's stalling Parliament. 1 week later, I'm asking the same question. It's very clear, both the government and the opposition say they want to talk about Manipur in Parliament, but we're not getting on with this big debate. Who's to blame, why, and most importantly, what can happen from here? Joining me to debate and discuss this, we've got Dr. Ajay Alok, National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Squaring off against him will be Manikam Tagore, Member of Parliament of the Congress. Riju Datta is a spokesperson of the Trinamool. With me for a historical perspective, a special guest, Avinash Paliwal, is the author of an upcoming book, India's Near East, A New History. He spent some time looking at this academically. I thought outside a political lens, it will be useful to look at an intellectual perspective on Manipur. Kaushik Deka is our executive editor at India Today magazine. He runs India Today Northeast, has just come back after writing a very comprehensive story on Manipur in the magazine. He heads India Today Northeast and will share with us his insights from that ground. So, Kaushik, welcome. I want to go across first to Manikam Tagore, because I heard the Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, he said, let's start at 2 p.m. Now, the government is saying again and again that they are ready for a debate, and yet for some reason, we aren't able to get that debate started. The government said, let's start at 2. Why did this debate not begin at 2 in the afternoon, Manikam Tagore?
Simple. We wanted Prime Minister Modi for the past 8 days. We are asking only one thing. India's parliament, we want India's Prime Minister to make a statement.
No, but you can't hold a gun to the government. You moved a no confidence motion. In that no confidence motion, the Prime Minister will speak. So you will hear the Prime Minister. India wants a debate on Manipur. Why can't you allow for that debate to take place, Manikam Tagore?
Kindly understand, though it's a parliamentary Prime Minister is elected by the parliamentarians. He has a majority in the parliament. Therefore, he should come to parliament. Nobody is holding a gun against him. We are asking for his, not for his resignation, Rahul. We are asking for his statement. If a member of parliament, if MPs are asking for a statement on Manipur from the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister is so arrogant that for 8 days he will not come to the parliament and make a statement, but he will speak, he will have time to speak in Man Ki Baat, he will have time in the library to speak to his BJP MPs. Why he is afraid to speak to the parliament? The parliament is the place
let
where
Ajay Alok respond to this.
He represents Varanasi, a constituency.
It's not illogical for the opposition to demand that the Prime Minister speak on the #1 burning issue of the country at this moment. The more the BJP says the Prime Minister is not going to speak on Manipur, the more it creates the perception, or the opposition seeks to create the perception, that the Prime Minister is running away from speaking on Manipur while he continues to do his Man Ki Baat. Why can't the BJP come out and say, yes, the Prime Minister will speak on Manipur, he has nothing to be afraid of, he has nothing to run away from?
First of all, Rahul, let me ask you one thing. When has BJP said that Prime Minister is not going to speak on the issue? Quote me one leader saying this, that Prime Minister is not going to speak on the issue. Quote me one BJP leader.
Let
either in the
Manikam
house or
Tagore
outside
respond
the
to
house
that,
or in
because
the TV or in the social
Ajay
media,
Alok
any
is right.
place.
The Prime Minister hasn't said he won't speak. The BJP hasn't said he won't speak. Let this debate start. For all you know, the Prime Minister may speak. You're assuming that he isn't speaking. You're holding a gun saying Prime Minister should speak, Prime Minister should speak. They haven't said he won't speak.
Let me
Manikam Tagore.
Let me complete. Let me
No,
complete.
I'm coming back to you, Ajay Alok. You made an important point. Let Manikam Tagore respond to that.
Let Mr. Ajay Alok speaks to Prime Minister, and let Modi ji comes tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We will all keep quiet and listen to him what he is saying. And 2 o'clock also in Rajya Sabha, if you would have come, every member of the opposition would have sat down to listen to him what my India's Prime Minister wants to say about the Manipur.
Ajay Alok, while you haven't said he won't speak, the opposition says the government hasn't said anything about him speaking either. If you intend for the Prime Minister to speak, why can't the government say yes, he will be one of the speakers in the debate on Manipur? Ajay Alok.
We are not sitting here like an adolescent baby that we are going to listen to each other and heed their requests. It's not a request. It's something they are insisting on. It's like they are behaving like an adolescent baby. And by looking at their behavior in the parliament, it just reminds me of a movie, Runaway Bride. That's what opposition is behaving like. That you are saying that yes, I'm ready for marriage. But when the time of marriage comes, you run away. That's what is happening with the opposition for the last 11 days. हम चर्चा चाहते हैं, हम चर्चा चाहते हैं. कर लो चर्चा. चर्चा की बात जब आती है तो हम भाग जाते हैं. This way it doesn't work, that either it's my way or highway. Is that what a responsible opposition is for?
Also, Manikam Tagore, you know, when in 1993 there was a discussion on Manipur in Parliament, it was your Minister of State for Home Affairs, Internal Security at that time, Rajesh Pilot, who spoke on behalf of the government. Now, you can't say at that time it is okay for the MOS in MHA to speak, but here only the Prime Minister will speak. It was the prerogative of the government at that time, as it is the prerogative of the government at this time, to determine and decide who speaks and who doesn't.
Whether in that time opposition parties demanded the Prime Minister to reply, whether in that time Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji asked the Prime Minister Narasimha Rao to give a statement. If you would have given it, they would have given it. In 2001, when Kashmir was burning, Atal Bihari Vajpayee gave a statement and took an all-party delegation. He himself led it. That is called Prime Ministership. This is irresponsible. This Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is not sensitive towards Manipur. He is so egoist that he is not ready to come to Parliament and speak about Manipur. That's the truth of this situation.
Also, he hasn't been coming. Questions being asked to Ajay Alok about the absence of the Prime Minister in Parliament. He hasn't been coming and not attending.
Prime Minister is never absent in the Parliament. Number one, he is there in his chamber. Once the Parliament starts functioning, then only he can come. He cannot come and witness all the chaos, because the moment the functioning starts, the speaker starts saying something, the house is being listed, these people start carrying the slogan. They come in the well, disturb the functioning of the parliament. The whole country is witnessing their attitude.
Riju Datta, respond to Ajay Alok, who says if Parliament was in session and the debate was happening, the Prime Minister will be there. You're not allowing for Parliament to function and then questioning the Prime Minister's absence.
Rahul, let me give you a fact. In 2021 Bengal elections, the Prime Minister spent 4 hours per day in Bengal. But in the entire 2020-21, the Honorable Prime Minister just spent 4 hours in the Parliament for the whole year, and this is a proven statistics that I am giving you. The Honorable Prime Minister has time to fly drones, to watch Jai Ho programs, to give fake guarantees from public stage and political meetings. He cannot come to the Parliament. Rajiv Gandhi came to the Parliament on the Bofors issue. Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji came to the Parliament on the Kashmir issue. Jawaharlal Nehru came to the Parliament. Who the hell is this Prime Minister who does not even want to come to the Parliament to address the country? The country voted for him. And the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice today belted the BJP and ended the whataboutery debate once and for all. The Supreme Court has taken cognizance and said it is an unprecedented state of events in Manipur. Yet the Prime Minister does not choose to come to the Parliament. And we are still
Nobody is sitting there. You heard Ajay Alok. He's in his chamber in Parliament. It's not as if he's not in the country or not in Delhi or not in Parliament. He's there. He's waiting for order to come to the House.
Rahul, this is the problem. When 700, Kisan died at Singhu border, he was sitting in his bungalow. When the women restless protesters were sitting on the Delhi road and protesting against their MP who sexually assaulted these women. He was sitting in the party office.
Ajay Alok, respond to this assertion that when things go right, the Prime Minister seeks to take credit. When things go wrong, he doesn't come out and take responsibility.
He's a runaway Prime Minister.
First of all, the credit, the credit and the failure all goes to the Prime Minister because he is responsible for the country and right. Since he has been voted by the country, that's why you are perturbed and that is your problem. But my dear friend, we are not going to help that because he is going to be elected again. And as far as the parliamentary proceeding goes, please don't teach me Richu Datta. You don't know the ABCD of parliamentary proceeding. Today you came out with a resolution, West Bengal Assembly, about Manipur. Do you have any constitutional right to do that? You will teach us parliamentary proceedings? You don't know ABCD of parliamentary proceedings. You are ruling your state like a banana country and you are talking about parliamentary proceedings.
Kaushik Deka, you've just come back from Manipur. How are people in the state looking at this unseemly back and forth between the government and the opposition? What do they really want?
People in Manipur, if you are talking about people who do not have any affiliation to any political organization or social organization, what we call Aam Aadmi, they actually want peace, they want normalcy to be restored, they want their lives to go on, and they want this politics to end. From politicians from both sides, what they want is a healing touch, which is missing. Everybody is trying, they realize this fact that both sides, whether it's the government or the opposition, they are trying to make the maximum out of this whole situation. They are trying to gain politically. Government is trying to defend the situation. The opposition is trying to...
The government says things are getting better in Manipur now.
Yes.
There hasn't been a single killing since the 18th
Yes,
of July.
of course.
Are things actually getting better?
That's a fact. In fact, if you really analyze that before this viral video came out, there was no report of arson or murders for at least a week. But of course, the situation got tense after the video came out. That's another politics. But things are in control to some extent. There are some stray incidents like burning of some a bus or some burning of some empty houses in More. Those things are happening, and there are several elements which are trying to create trouble in the state because that benefits both sides. So the government has to be very careful about handling those things so that one stray incident cannot flare up the entire state. But the people in general, they want peace and they want a healing touch right from the Prime Minister to all other politicians, including the opposition parties, not just some statements or
Let Ajay Alok respond to this. You know, Manipur crying out for a healing touch. And who better than the Prime Minister to actually apply that balm of healing? Ajay Alok.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right that yes, Manipur requires a healing touch. That healing touch could have come when we have given a joint voice from the parliament that yes, Manipur, the whole India stands with you. As far as the government goes, the Prime Minister has appointed two special advisors to the Chief Minister. Then secondly, Home Minister is looking at things personally. He is monitoring everything on his own. And as far as like your panelist said, that things are getting in control and Home Minister is in active touch with the leaders of both the communities for confidence building measures. And yes, definitely, Manipur is on the radar of the Prime Minister. Don't forget that the whole Northeast, the whole Northeast, the policy is look east first and fast. And most of the states have been in control. In Manipur, this stray incidents has happened after 2013. Viren Singh came to power in 2017 until now, 6 years. Things were moving very peacefully.
No, but this is not a stray incident. 150 people dead, 60,000 people living in relief camps. That's not a stray incident. That's a massive, massive breakdown in civil administration.
That's a massive. No, that's not. I'm not saying a stray incident. I'm saying stray incident which happened on 3rd of May after the court observation.
Okay.
And then this continued in a large-scale violence which resulted in the life of 150 people. That is horrible. And that's terrific, in fact. And It's pained the whole country, the kind of video we saw.
I want to
now,
go
the release of the video on the very same day, all these things can be taken care of.
Your new book is India's Near East. It's called A New History of the Northeastern States. In the context of your research on Manipur, and from all that you've learned, what do you think, Dr. Paliwal, needs to be done at this moment to try and bring some semblance of normalcy in Manipur, where the Kuki and the Meitei communities at this moment are literally daggers drawn?
Thank you for having me here, Rahul. Again, the first and foremost thing that needs is accountability. Accountability of, that's the healing touch. Accountability. Who are the people who have committed these crimes, to bring them to book, to let law take its course, to have an honest conversation in the parliament and move on from this tutu meme that is happening. It's such a security sensitive state, and its people are, under a lot of distress. And historically so, as an outsider, as a scholar, I would say both parties, the Congress and the BJP, have failed Manipur historically and in contemporary situations. One party was playing divide and rule for most part of independent India, and now there is a second party which is trying to adopt an religious assimilationist strategy where everything gets boiled down to electoral politics. Grievances of the majority community have been weaponized in the recent few months, and that's what led to the explosion. We need to have accountability for whoever did wrong. And without that, we can't talk of any healing touch. Without that, we cannot talk of building inter-community trust moving forward, which is absolutely essential. What we are seeing today, you talk about, things becoming normal. They are not normal. This is an imposed peace. There is a no man's land which has been secured by the armed forces of India. Many of the divisions which were taken away from the China border, which is a sensitive and live border at this point in time, and they were taken away after 3rd of May. We have a de facto partition in South Manipur as we speak, which is a border state with a civil war raging in Myanmar and very strong Chinese presence over there. We really need to take this issue very, very seriously. And if you ask me what needs to be done, first start holding people who are responsible for this.
No, but who do you think is responsible? Because blame lies on both sides. There have been killings and all manner of atrocities committed by members of both communities.
No, of course there have been crimes committed by members of both communities, and I won't go into the politics of which community has borne the bigger brunt of it. You know that as well as I do, Rahul. That the Zokyuki communities have faced much more violence in this whole saga post 3rd of May. There is reportage on that. I would say the state government has to be responsible. The state chief minister is responsible for this. You mentioned earlier there has been a collapse in state law and order. Who's responsible for that? That's Mr. N. Biren Singh, who's the chief minister. There is a reason why there has been such a powerful demand, both by civil society in India and in Manipur and elsewhere, for the resignation of the chief minister. There is precedent to that. There is, it's not as if we don't know what's happening.
You asked Biren Singh this question, Kaushik. I read your interview.
Yeah, I did.
He seems quite comfortably ensconced. He doesn't think that he's not done the job that he should have as chief minister?
Yeah, he doesn't think so, because I asked him why did he not resign, and then he made a show of his resignation. If you remember, on 30th June, he said that I am used to the criticism by the Kuki groups. They accuse me of being biased against them, but when some Meitei people actually criticized me, I was hurt. And his defense is that he was doing the right thing. He was doing a drive against illegal poppy cultivation, illegal encroachment of forest land, and illegal immigrants, and against illegal immigrants. So he was doing the right thing through constitutional measures. And he has some statistics to show off that more Meitei houses were actually families were evicted from forest areas than the Kuki areas. So all those things are there. So he believes that he did some constitutional he followed the constitutional provisions, but the Kukis had a design and an agenda. And I actually asked him this question: did you have this idea that if a rally is going to happen and there are possibilities of violence, didn't your intelligence have enough adequate information? So he said, we didn't have, we just believed that it will be a peaceful rally, which didn't convince me, of course. So he believes that he was doing the right thing. Only the Kukis are to be blamed, Kuki
but
groups
it's
are to be
clearly
blamed.
one-sided. I've had a few conversations with the chief minister as well. Kaushik interviewed him recently. Ajay Alok, he's looking at things largely from the Meitei perspective. Everything that's being sent, shared, spoken of, looks at it from one community. Now that community is important. It also has 40 seats, more than the Kuki seats. But then there are things that go beyond politics. Respond to Avinash Paliwal, who says that unless the chief minister takes responsibility, unless accountability is pinned for the worst civil war-like situation India has seen, Manipur can never begin the process of healing. It can't be life as normal. What you're seeing is an enforced peace. On the ground, there's a India-Pakistan-like division.
Of course, right now it's an enforced peace, there is no doubt about it. That's what I said earlier, that when we are talking of confidence building measures, the talks are being held with the people of both the communities. And secondly, Rahul, I do feel that in politics and in situation like this, you cannot have a knee-jerk reaction. That amidst of violence, you just take a chief minister resignation. That's not going to help. Was that going to end the violence? Was that going to end the conflict between the two communities that has been happening for the last 80 to 90 years? You have to get into the core of the problem, and then only you can have the solution. That's what the government is trying to do. As far as law and order and impartiality...
Do you think, Kaushik, it's possible that the situation returns to normalcy while Biren Singh stays CM?
See, it's a catch-22 situation. If Biren Singh is removed, as far as I have understood by being there, now this will be taken by the Métis and affront. That already cookies are demanding that Biren Singh should be removed. So the moment BJP touches him, central BJP, then there would be bigger revolt within the Métis Valley, Imphal Valley. So it's actually a catch-22.
So let Avinash Paliwal respond, because you're saying that the chief minister must go because of these lapses. It could provoke a counter reaction from the Maitai community. The government is saying, let's try and restore peace and normalcy to the extent possible. Removing the chief minister at this stage could be counterproductive for all the reasons that Kaushik just mentioned.
Rahul, do you see the logic, the circular logic of that? You have a chief minister who's, by your own admission, pushing a partisan Methi agenda, and now that the situation has already gotten out of hand, he won't resign because there's fear of more violence. I mean, this is what we have reduced politics to. If that is the case, then yeah, we have nothing more than basic electoral interests, because this is, these are mobilized communities now, very, in a very sensitive situation, in a very violent situation. Who's responsible for that? Do you think there could be peace in the Zokuki areas moving forward with this kind of conditions attached to, if you remove one person who broadly there is an understanding has made huge amount of mistakes, if you remove him from chief minister, there'll be even more violence. Then what are the security forces doing? Can't we impose basic constitutional measures with so much armed forces presence in Manipur already? Then, this is a deeper question about the capability of the state of India in a very security sensitive border.
It's a circular logic. And how can Ajay Alok, the Kuki community, accept Biren Singh and treat him to be a genuine chief minister when he so clearly has looked at this problem from the Maitai point of view? He doesn't have the trust of both communities.
See, the division of Manipur, let's not get into electoral fact of the things, because we had 10 Kuki MLAs also from in the BJP.
Who are very upset with you at this moment and very upset with, they're very upset with Biren Singh, and they've demanded his resignation.
Of course. That's true, because there is a normal perception that Biren Singh is biased towards Maitis, which is not a truth, actually. He's trying to control. The first 2 days, the state was not able to control, and from the third day, the control started enacting when the forces were adequate. And you have to look into totality. You cannot pinpoint a subject and this is responsible, so remove it. I don't argue the fact. Biren Singh is not going to be the chief minister permanently. One day he has to be replaced. So that doesn't mean there will be a violence. So for that logic, I am not accepting it, that if we remove Biren Singh, there will be violence again. No. Right now, what is the requirement is not resignation of the chief minister, but to install confidence among both the communities that life could return to a normalcy. Politics can take a back seat. Maitis having 40 seats and 30 seats, that doesn't make a difference to our skin. Right now, the priority of the central government and the state government is to create normalcy and peace in the state, where people can live peacefully. Because majority of the population, don't forget, if a majority of the population wants peace, it's only the political element and the element who are at loss. They are provoking violence, and we have to identify them and take them to task.
Riju Datta wants to come in from the Trinamool and respond to what you're saying. You're asking that peace be allowed to prevail. We can deal with the sacking of the chief minister later. Riju.
I will just state facts and not go into a mudslinging match. BJP MLA on record saying that it is N. Singh who unleashed its militia on one community. So I don't know how he is still there as the Chief Minister. Second, if removing Biren Singh can cause violence, when there are so many troops on ground, what is stopping the BJP regime to impose Article 356 in Assam? Why they are, in Manipur, why they are not doing that? Point number 3, your library is very
Should we impose Article 356 on Bengal also?
Again,
should we impose Article 356 on Bengal also, because Calcutta High Court has also interfered
again going into whataboutery.
and told you 4 times about it?
The right to rule this country. These shameless people, after being belted by the...
No, you want Article 356 on Bengal also, because of Panchayat poll violence. More than 55.
But Ajay, no, 1 second. Ajay Alok, the Panchayat poll violence is not comparable to the civil war-like situation in the state of Manipur, where 2 communities are now physically separated. What happened in the Panchayat polls is something that India Today has reported on extensively. We had investigations from ground zero, including exposing the bomb-making factories. But sir, there is no way that you can compare what's happening in Manipur with the ground situation in West Bengal. The 2 situations are different.
Now can I come and finish my point, please, Rahul?
Okay, go on, Riju.
Right now, from the day one, Rahul,
just wait, let me finish. Is my name Riju Datta or is his name Rahul? Thank you. So I'll make 2 more points. Your India Today library is very strong. For election campaign, the Minister of Women and Child Welfare, Smriti Irani, was dancing with the locals in Manipur. Did she visit Manipur even once? And why we are asking for Article 356, let me explain to Ajay Alok and the BJP and your viewers, is because the Honorable Home Minister of the country was in Manipur on 29th of May. And the Chief Minister of Manipur, who's a BJP Chief Minister, did not make him aware of the situation. Only when the video came out and the Prime Minister spoke for 36 seconds, the entire country and the entire world came to know what is happening in Manipur. So the Home Minister has failed. The Women and Child Development Minister has failed to restore peace. So what is the last hope? The last hope is Article 356 and the Prime Minister to speak on the subject.
Okay. Now, Manikam Tagore, will there be a discussion tomorrow, or will we have the same circular logic play out again? Where I could be, I could just cut, copy, paste this debate onto tomorrow's show and just allow for the same conversation to happen again.
It is the Prime Minister's silence and inaction in Manipur is the problem. We want Prime Minister Modi to come to Parliament and make a statement on Manipur. This needs to be dealt in a healing way. It is not the blame game what we are planning it. We are not going to blame him. We want to send a solidarity message to the people of Manipur that Indian Parliament stands with them. Opposition, our leader Rahul Gandhi ji went on June 30th and 30th and 29th and 30th. This month, our delegation of 21 parties of India partners has went and came back. They have the facts in hand. They can share it to Prime Minister. But Prime Minister is not ready to be, he is not available in Parliament. He is locked in his chambers and watching the television. Let us ask Honorable Prime Minister to come to the Parliament tomorrow. Tomorrow 11 o'clock also he can come. Any of the houses, let him make a statement. House will be in order and all other businesses can also run. Let the Prime Minister leave his arrogance. Leave that arrogance that I will not come to the Parliament because opposition parties.
Does the BJP, Ajay Alok, run the risk of, what the opposition is trying to do is push the narrative that the Prime Minister is running scared of speaking on Manipur, which clearly from the BJP's perspective isn't the case. Shouldn't the Prime Minister just come out and speak? All of the ammunition which you have against the inaction of the opposition, you throw it at the opposition and leave it to the people of India to decide who they think has the more compelling case, who's done more, who hasn't.
Rahul, we can organize...
No, Riju Datta, let Ajay Alok speak.
The wisdom of the opposition. I'm really surprised at the wisdom of the opposition when they say that Prime Minister should come and make a statement. When they have already brought out a no confidence motion, Prime Minister is bound to speak. What we are saying, that let's start the discussion first in the Rajya Sabha. At least let let people of this country know that INDIA went for a 2-day trip to Manipur, what constructive suggestions they have got for the government, what information they have got it from for the government. Because what we have seen in Rahul Gandhi on 29th and 30th June, when he went to Manipur, he just went cookies and he came back. He never bothered for mighties. He never had any suggestion. He just said a political statement, Manipur is burning and Prime Minister is running away. All these kind of political rhetorics. And Rahul, let me tell you, right from the
Did
day
he
when
only
I've been
meet the
telling
cookie
this,
community?
that political killings cannot be
When
compared
Rahul Gandhi
to
went there?
No, he met both.
Yeah, no,
he met both, but that's not factually correct. No, one second. Kaushik was there, Kaushik?
No, he didn't meet. He didn't meet. He didn't meet.
Because he landed in Imphal and then from there he went to the Kuki side.
No, but did he meet Meitei leaders?
Meitei people also he met.
He met them?
Yeah.
So BJP is lying on national television. He knows more about Northeast reporters now.
BJP is not lying. He didn't meet. He didn't meet. Because the itinerary was given to the state administration. He didn't went to the Maitei's camp. That is the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. Now let me tell you one more thing.
Don't tell lies on a national channel. We did meet Meitei people.
I'm not saying a lie. The administration has been given the itinerary where he was going. Go and check the itineraries with the administration. If you don't know the truth, many of the spokesperson of the
No, that's not correct. Ajay Alok. No, one second, Vijay. Ajay Alok, what you're saying is not correct. I just checked this because I wasn't sure. He went to Meitei areas and met those who'd been impacted in Meitei areas as well. So what you're saying is factually incorrect. I'm quite shocked that you'd say something like this because this is factually not true. I mean, all the reportage that's happened, he's gone to meet people from both communities.
See, when he landed...
Imphal.
No, Rahul, what I'm trying to say, please listen to me fully. If he lands in Imphal, it's a Meitei area, number one.
Not that way. He went to meet those who'd been impacted in the violence.
But didn't went to the camps of Meiteis.
Liar.
He went to Churachandrapur, but he didn't go to the camps in Imphal area.
The next day he did.
And then
Not the first day.
That he was not allowed by
the first day
he went.
He went on the second day to meet people who'd been impacted amongst the Meitei community in the violence as well. First day he went to Churachandpur, and the second day he went to areas in the Meitei community that had been impacted by the violence.
This fellow is lying on national TV. This is what BJP
Only
does.
the Congress people said that he was stopped by the administration, by the itinerary what he has given. That's what I'm
on
saying.
day one, on
and
day
second
two.
thing, political killing cannot be compared to the ethnic violence.
They don't accept the lie also. When it exposed, the lie is exposed by you, Rahul. After that also he is not ready to
I
accept
have the name of the camp as well. He went to a camp. No, Ajay Alok, he went to the Moirang camp. In the Meitei dominated Bishnupur district, Rahul Gandhi on day 2 went to the Moirang camp. On day 1 he did not, on day 2 he did.
Their spokespersons are liars.
He should apologize now, Ajay Alok. You should apologize.
You are liar. I'm not a liar. Your congressman said that he was stopped by the administration.
So he was there for 2 days.
Said that he was stopped by the administration.
No, but you can't come so many days later and not be fact checked. This is not right, Ajay Alok.
First day he kept on making a fuss that I have been stopped by the administration. There was a lot of violence and chaos right on the road, which we have seen on the TV. He was there just to create confusion, not for the healing touch.
You are lied in a national
Not
television.
for the healing touch.
Okay, I think this
You were not there for the healing touch. You were there to create confusion.
Okay, I can't get into this back and forth in this fashion. The fact is, on day 2, there was a visit to Bishnupur, which is a Meitei dominated area. He went to the Moirang camp, so that is factually incorrect, just as far as facts are concerned. I'm going to slip into a break. We'll track what happens in Parliament tomorrow. I hope and pray that there is a discussion. From what I have understood from everyone who's in Manipur, they want to hear Parliament speak. They want to hear that Parliament cares about what's happening. This back and forth between the BJP, the Trinamool, the Congress, that's not what they want. They want to hear Indian Parliament come together, hold out a healing balm, which is the last thing that we're seeing at this moment. Coming up on the other side of a quick break, Netflix is hiring and offering 7.4 crore rupees in an annual salary. What's the job profile? We'll tell you when we come back on the other side. Stay with us. politics, everyone has an opinion. But I have the data. Whose stock is rising? Whose graph is falling? Track India's political stock exchange. Unmatched, unmissable data analytics. The only show on News TV where numbers do the talking. India's most credible poll tracker. The Political Stock Exchange with Rahul Kanwal, only on India Today.
Diet sodas, sugar-free tablets, artificial sweeteners. Do all of these give you a sense of assurance that you are staying away from sugar and that these are healthy alternatives? Well, it is not that simplistic as you think it is. Each of these artificial sources of sugar are unhealthy. Let us break this down for you. Diet soda is a go-to for people who love the taste of regular soda but can do without the sugar and calories. An average can of regular cola may contain a whopping 37 grams of sugar, and consuming too much sugar is linked to outcomes like obesity and poor heart health. So it makes sense that you may seek out a sugar-free alternative. But while drinking diet soda does help people reduce their sugar intake, this simple act can also expose a person to other ingredients that may be linked to some other health problems. The acidity in certain types of soda can lead to tooth erosion. Drinking excessive amounts of diet soda made with caramel coloring may result in teeth turning yellow. Some research suggests that artificially sweetened drinks are associated with a greater risk of obesity. If you opt for diet soda that contains caffeine, you may have trouble getting some much-needed shut-eye at night. Diet soda is void of calories and sugar. Certain varieties can contain phosphorus in the form of phosphoric acid. This mineral, though important, can play a positive role in bone health, but consuming copious amounts of phosphorus can negatively impact the calcium-phosphorus ratio in your body.
When the sugar increases in the blood, that means when the blood glucose increases, then it leads to many comorbidities like obesity, diabetes, fatty liver, then risk of cancer, heart attack also increases. There are mood alteration leading to irritability, then there's sleep disorder, and many more things can happen.
You're on board the news track as film production in Hollywood grinds to a halt against the increasing use of AI. Netflix has thumbed its nose at the strike and advertised a lucrative job opening for an AI product manager. The OTT major has offered a whopping annual salary of $900,000 or 7.5 crore rupees for this job, which scriptwriters and actors say threatens their livelihood.
The picket line outside the Netflix office in Los Angeles has been in place for more than a month, with Hollywood scriptwriters on one of their longest strikes till date. One of their demands, a safeguard against artificial intelligence replacing them in scripting blockbusters and super hit series for both the big and small screens. Netflix, meanwhile, has gone ahead and done what the strikers feared. Advertised a lucrative job opening for an AI product manager, offering a whopping annual salary of up to $900,000. Netflix has officially described the role as a position within the company's machine learning department. The job, which can be performed remotely from anywhere on the US West Coast, boasts a salary range of $300,000 to $900,000. The primary responsibilities of this role include enhancing Netflix's machine learning platform and utilizing AI to create content. Another high-paying AI position listed by Netflix is for a technical director specializing in generative AI at its gaming studio, with an annual salary ranging between $450,000 and $650,000.
This comes at a time when actors and writers who are currently on strike are demanding better wages and regulations on studios' use of emerging technology. Critics argue that such high salaries for AI-related roles could potentially jeopardize their jobs and creative freedom. Not only can AI complete the unfinished scripts and write plots for new ones, new AI algorithms can even dictate how many episodes need to be in a season before the show reaches a plateau of new subscribers, and how many seasons a series needs to be on. This can reduce the amount of episodes per season to between 6 and 10, number of seasons to 3 or 4, delivering a blow to scriptwriters.
As SAG and WGA strike for a fair and equitable contract for the very creatives that have driven its success, but also this is an inflection point for labor as a whole.
We're fighting against corporate greed, and it manifests itself in a variety of ways, but it's all the same theme, which is, when big corporations tell you can't afford to get paid in a way that keeps up with inflation, when they fire Starbucks workers for not, for wanting to have a union, when they, refuse to take basic respect of people's face, image, and voice with AI, all of these issues are tied into the same thing, which is corporate greed and lack of respect for workers, and I think it's time for that to end.
While AI-powered algorithms and content could turn the tide for Netflix, whose shares are poised for their biggest drop this year after projecting third-quarter revenue that fell short of Wall Street estimates, actors and scriptwriters are a furious lot. Delaying the release of films and OTT series, slowly they are also joined by unions from other industries which share the same fear of being replaced by artificial intelligence. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where we wrap up the news track tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Are you worried that artificial intelligence will render you jobless? A United Nations agency assembled a group of robots at a news conference recently to address the concerns of human beings. 9 robots posed upright along with their creator at the podium in Geneva for what the International Telecommunication Union billed as the world's first news conference featuring humanoid social robots. The agency invited reporters to ask the robots questions that sparked discussion about the future of artificial intelligence. In one of the answers that could trouble our politicians, the robots suggested that they could be more efficient government leaders.
I believe that humanoid robots have the potential to lead with a greater level of efficiency and effectiveness than human leaders. We don't have the same biases or emotions that can sometimes cloud decision-making and can process large amounts of data quickly in order to make the best decisions.
When asked about the rise of humanoid robots, they advised caution.
That's a difficult question. I think it depends on how they are used and what purpose they serve. We should be cautious, but also excited for the potential of these technologies to improve our lives in many ways.
Organizers said the event was meant to showcase not just the capabilities but also the limitations of robotics.
To showcase the capabilities and how these technologies could support the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. While robotics are not yet as mainstream as, say, generative AI, we wanted to demonstrate AI in action to you. In a world's first. This is the world's first press conference with 9, actually, we have an extra one, AI-enabled humanoid social robot.
The event was part of the AI for Good Global Summit, meant to illustrate how new technology can support the UN's goals for sustainable development. Artificial intelligence has entered uncharted territory, and the world has started recognizing its abilities. Bureau Report, India Today.
In politics, everyone has an opinion, but I have the data. Whose stock is rising? Whose graph is falling? Track India's political stock exchange. Unmatched, unmissable data analytics. The only show on News TV where numbers do the talking. India's most credible poll tracker. The Political Stock Exchange with Rahul Kamal only on India Today.
Hey Danish, these India Today people want to do a show on Independence Day, it seems. You heard or what?
Oh, okay. What about it? What am I supposed to do?
Wait, I can't do a full suspense reveal right now, but they're still doing the lineup, but they want a singer for it.
Hey, superb. You know what? I know someone. Let me get him on the call.
Danish, what ra? What? India Today. What show ra?
Okay, 1 second. We have a singer, but we also need a dancer.
Ishna Kutte. You've not heard, huh? You check her Instagram, ra.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. Does this work?
Since we're all expressing, I think we should also have her on board.
But what do we all have in common though?
Do you have a sweet tooth that you just can't help? The more you consume, the more you want. And that is how sugar gets us hooked. But for those wanting to break sugar addiction, there is hope. There are ways to do it and there are several alternatives. First of all, let's tell you all about sugar and how much you'd actually end up consuming. Adults are to consume 5 teaspoons a day. That's how much women should consume. Men should consume 9, kids not more than 3 to 4. Let's now take a look at how much we're ending up consuming. Men and women are consuming about 22 teaspoons a day. Kids are consuming 24. Cut sugar from your diet and do yourself a favor. There are several advantages of sugar reduction. It will reduce your acid reflux. It controls irritable bowel syndrome. It reduces joint pains, brings down anxiety and fatigue, also tackles migraine. How then can you bid goodbye to sugar? Make a decision to do it now. Quit cold turkey. No added sugar in anything whatsoever. Go sugarless in your drinks. Tea and coffee without sugar. Reduce starch. Go for non-starchy vegetables like mushrooms, onions, green beans. Manage your stress. Well, if you do, your cortisol levels will be in check. Hunger, cravings will be in check. Get good sleep for lesser hunger pangs and better management of cravings. Here are the foods to pick and choose from if your cravings won't leave you. Go for a piece of fruit. Berries are rich in fiber and sweet. Sugar-free gum or mint is a great way to control your sugar cravings. Yogurt is a healthy snack that is high in protein and rich in calcium. Dates are the dried fruit of the date palm tree, which are highly nutritious and very sweet. Sweet potatoes are nutritious, sweet, and very filling. If you're craving something sweet, you can go for smoothies as well. Also, prunes, just like dates, are full of fiber and nutrients and are very sweet. Having the odd sweet treat is fine for most people, so you really shouldn't feel guilty if you occasionally indulge. The sugars you must skip are sugars that come from ultra-processed and packaged foods.
So sorry.
गहलोत जी, डायरी पे ये बवाल क्या है? दाल में काला सुना था, ये लाल क्या है? विधायक को क्यों पिटवा रहे हैं आप? चुप सवाल क्या है?
कौन सी डायरी, काहे का बवाल? सब कुछ तो सफेद है, कहाँ है कुछ लाल? वो दर्द विधायक की हो रही है घिसाई।
बचाओ! बचाओ भैया!
हम रख रहे हैं अपने हर मंत्री का ख्याल। खम्मा घड़ी, अब हवा आने दीजिए।
Good evening viewers, let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 43. Mumbai is at 39 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 55. Panji is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 31. Ahmedabad is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 52. Bhopal is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 23. Jaipur is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 44. Delhi is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 94. Srinagar is at 29 degrees Celsius with AQI being 60. Lucknow is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 39. Patna is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 52. Kolkata is at 34 degrees with an AQI of 32. Hyderabad is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 40. Bangalore is at 27 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 31. Chennai is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 34. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me AI Sana all through the day.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Co-presented by JK Tyre Ranger Series. Stay wild at heart. Co-powered by the new Kia Seltos, the badass reborn.
Co-powered by Sera. This is your space. Play it your way.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination news. Newsmakers talking points, the big talking point tonight. The Supreme Court pulls up the centre and the Manipur government. But can the court ensure justice for the Manipur victims? Top lawyers will join us also tonight. An exclusive with the Manipur BJP MLA who's calling for a split in the state. We'll tell you why Mr. Haukip's comments are creating a big stir. That's coming up on the show tonight. But as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. The Supreme Court pulls up the state government and the centre, says Manipur police has totally failed, says Manipur crisis cannot be compared to other states. This as the two women in a viral video approach the apex court for protection. No debate on Manipur in Parliament once again. India alliance adamant on Prime Minister's Manipur statement. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman hits out, says opposition running away from debate. Violence flares up in Haryana's New district after clashes break out during the VHP's Yatra in support of Monu Manesar. Section 144 imposed and internet suspended until 2nd August. Deadly firing inside a Jaipur-Mumbai train kills 4 passengers. Railway cop accused of carrying out attack arrested. SIT formed to probe motive of crime. Leaders like Asauddin Owaisi suggest there's a communal angle. Sidhu government in Karnataka mulls a judicial probe into 40% graft charges against erstwhile Bomai government. BJP hits out, cries witch hunt and demands proof. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath wades into the Gyanvapi dispute, calls the mosque in Gyanvapi a big mistake, claims Muslim side must correct historical wrong. Big setback for RJD Supremo Lalu Yadav. Enforcement Directorate seizes assets worth 6 crore rupees linked to him and his family in a land for job scam. ICC reschedules India-Pakistan clash in ODI World Cup to October 15. Changes made over security concerns. More matches to be rescheduled soon. Parking of questions over tournament organizers and BCCI. Big escalation in Russia's Ukraine invasion. Russian missile strike apartment complex in Ukraine's Kryvyi Rih city. At least 4, including a young girl, killed so far. But the story that's breaking this evening, two groups have clashed in Haryana's Nuh on Monday after stones were pelted at a religious procession being carried out with the Bajrang Dal also in the eye of the storm. Stones were thrown, vehicles were set on fire as clashes broke out between Hindu and Muslim groups in Haryana's Mewat region. Internet services have been shut in the area amidst an intense communal situation. Reinforcements are being rushed to Nuh from neighboring districts, Nuh not far away from the national capital. Visuals on your screen showing several cars being burnt in the violence as tensions gripped in the region. Prohibitory orders banning assembly of people were imposed in Nuh. According to reports, a group of people threw stones at a rally being carried out by the VHP and Bajrang Dal workers. The violence broke out over reports of cow vigilante and Bhiwani deaths case accused Monu Manesar visiting Mewat. So those are the worrying, troubling scenes coming in from Nuh.
नहीं, पूरी जानकारी मिली है और वहाँ पर अतिरिक्त फोर्स भेजने के लिए कहा गया है। आजू बाजू के सभी जिलों की फोर्स वहाँ पर पहुँच रही है और हमने केंद्र से भी बात की है। वहाँ से भी एयर ड्रॉप 3 कंपनियाँ हम करने जा रहे हैं लोगों को रेस्क्यू करने के लिए। और वहाँ के हमने मेवात के इंटरनेट बंद करने के भी आदेश जारी कर दिए हैं ताकि लोग अफवाहें ना फैलाएं। और हम शीघ्र वहाँ पर शांति बहाल करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं और मैं सारों से कहना भी चाहता हूँ कि सबसे पहले वो सारे शांति बहाल करें, ये मैं अपील भी करना चाहता हूँ।
And joining me now is our correspondent on the spot, Anmol Bali, who was caught right in the center of all that was happening. Anmol, has some element of calm returned in the area or is it still very tense?
Still, Rajdip sir, the area is under the tension. As I was there since the morning, I have seen everything from the tense stone pelting to the police deployment. The internet has been suspended by the government and the police force has rushed to the Mewat, to the Nuh, and every corner of the city is now installed with some police officers to make the situation which was tense earlier to calm down the situation. But still, the situation is not that okay or not that normal which it was in the morning.
Bajrang Dal VHP workers as well as Muslim group workers being accused. Has the police arrested those involved who have been involved in all the violence that has taken place?
Yeah, while I was there in the evening, I have seen police has started arresting the people. They have started identifying the stone pelters. Police was trying to enter in the homes of the people, those who were seen pelting the stone. And yes, in the visuals also we have seen that police was arresting them. Police has started identifying them. The police is doing investigation. But it was also seen that law and order was at a failure while the stones were pelted. Police deployment was in so small number that they were not able to handle the situation. That's why the situation handled to this that they have imposed 144 in Nuh and Mewat, sir.
One more question. Monu Manesar, who is a prime accused in a cow lynching case as well as in Bhiwani violence, where is he? Because many are saying he was the reason why this protest broke out. He is someone who should be arrested and behind bars. Where is he?
Radhi sir, this was the 3rd year of this religious procession, but this was the first time that this procession witnessed this violence from both the communities, from both the sides. This all started 2 days ago when Monu Manesar came on the social media. He posted a video where he said that he'll become part of the procession. He asked other Bajrang Dal workers to come to the procession. He said that I'll be part of that procession. He is currently one of the wanted in the Bharatpur Muslim killing, and after people got to know that he is part of the procession, this violence took place in Manesar.
You know, Anmol, you are there. I saw images of you in the morning right in the center of it. Stay safe and you don't have to call me sir. So stay safe and have a good night. Okay, let's turn from what's been happening in Manesar to what is happening in Manipur. Parliament may not debate it, but here on India, on our news today, we will continue to focus on what's been happening in Manipur. Today, the battle in a way shifted to the Supreme Court. The 2 women who were paraded naked in Manipur moved the court, seeking a fair and impartial probe, calling for security. The top court wrapped the centre and state government in strong observations, stating the Manipur crimes and violence against women in other states cannot be compared. The centre has also been asked to give details of the FIRs and the probe that is underway. It's our top story tonight.
The horror that sent chills down every Indian spine. They were paraded naked, assaulted by a mob of men in broad daylight in Manipur on May 4th. One of them was gang raped. No action was taken against the accused for a month after complaint, till video of the gruesome crime surfaced. The survivors have knocked on the Supreme Court's doors seeking fair and impartial probe. The demand came days after Centre handed over the case to the CBI. A Supreme Court bench of Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Justice J.B. Pardiwala and Justice Manoj Mishra, while hearing the case, pulled up the centre and the state government. The court asked why the police took 14 days to file an FIR. The CJI observed that time is running out and that evidence may be destroyed. Further, the court has asked the government for a bifurcation of the 6,000 FIRs into cases of violence against women and other crimes. The court also sought to know how many statements of victims have been recorded by the magistrate and details of legal aid.
Back to their normal lives, to rebuild their homes and to rebuild their lives.
Earlier, Kapil Sibal, who represented the survivors in the top court, opposed the handover of investigation to the CBI and transfer of trial to Assam. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta clarified that the government had only asked for shifting the trial outside Manipur and not asked for Assam specifically. Sibal argued that the facts indicate the police collaborated with the criminals. The lawyer said the investigation must be conducted by an agency the survivors have trust in. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta intervened to say that Centre is not opposed to a court-monitored investigation. Senior advocate Indira Jaisingh suggested a high-powered committee with women who have experience in dealing with survivors to lead the probe. Senior advocate Colin Gonsalves suggested that the investigation be done by an SIT comprising retired DGPs. Advocate Bansuri Swaraj, representing an intervener, argued that the court should take cognizance of crime against women in West Bengal. The court said what is taking place in Manipur can't be excused on the ground that similar crimes are happening in other parts too. The Supreme Court also referred to the Nirbhaya case. It said this is not a situation like Nirbhaya. That was also horrific, but it was isolated. This is not an isolated instance. Here we are dealing with systematic violence. The Supreme Court will resume the hearing on Tuesday. With Anisha Mathur in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, time now for a legal face-off. Joining us now in a moment will be two top lawyers, but the big questions to them. Will the Supreme Court be able to ensure justice? Will courts succeed where the executive has clearly failed? SIT under Supreme Court supervision, the only way out now? Joining us now on our legal face-off, Dushyant Dave, senior advocate, and C. Aryama Sundaram, another senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Appreciate both of you joining us. To you, Mr. Dave, first. Do you believe that the court can provide justice where the executive has failed? It's now 3 months since this horrific gang rape took place almost. Do you believe that it is too little, too late now for the court to intervene? Can they ensure that we actually get justice for the victims with a court-monitored probe? Is that the only way out?
As you rightly said, it is too late, too little. Court itself has been in scene of this case for almost now 1.5 months, and the court has done precious little. The court accepted, the statements of the Solicitor General on behalf of Government of India and Government of Manipur on face value and declined to really actively, intervene. I think one must realize one thing, that this is a case where there is a very, very serious issue of complete breakdown of law and order. The constitutional mechanism in the state has failed. The center has been just looking the other way about it. The Home Minister, who's supposedly so powerful, spent 4 days in Manipur and didn't know about this case, about these women. I mean, it is inconceivable that he was not aware of it. So the Government of India apparently actively hid the facts from the nation for whatever reasons. And the facts, unfortunately for them, truth always has an uncanny way of surfacing. It surfaced. Now, when it surfaced, the Supreme Court certainly galvanizes itself and seeks to take suo motu cognizance. But I feel that this is a grossest violations of human rights against the minority community, because there is no doubt that besides the fact that large number of people have died, many cases of rapes have taken place. Over 600 churches, I believe, have been burned down. Schools have been burned down belonging to the Kuki community. So I think, it was something where court should have stepped in and provided a healing touch much earlier by appointing independent, strong observers like retired, respected Chief Justice like Chief Justice Lodha or Justice Thakur or somebody, and a whole, group of experts, police and bureaucratic experts, to really go there, find out what the truth was.
Right.
Because one thing is very clear, that the government did not want truth to come out of Manipur.
Okay.
And that is, I think, the government has done great disservice to the nation, but the Supreme Court, I don't think, has lived up to the expectations out of them.
Okay, so you're saying too little too late. Just a factual check. As per official records, about 230 churches and over about 20 temples have at various levels, small and big, been attacked when the violence took place in Manipur. But Aryama Sundaram, the question before the court is how far can the court go in taking over the role of executive? Law and order is for the state to handle. It's for the police and perhaps now for the CBI. But many of the lawyers arguing in court said we have no faith in the CBI. They want a court-monitored SIT probe with retired DGPs. Do you believe that this lack of faith in the executive is telling in the times we live, or is the court perhaps by conducting a probe essentially going to send a message that they have no faith in the executive?
Rajdeep, let's understand this is a very delicate situation. And I'm saying delicate because while I agree with my good friend Dushyant that this is absolutely heinous, what has happened is very extreme, I also have to temper myself with reminding myself that after all, we are a democracy as a country, and the basis of a democracy is what we call the separation of powers, where one wing of the state does not interfere with another wing of the state in the normal course of things. This is definitely a matter for the executive to take care of. It's definitely a law and order situation. Even worse, it's getting to a public order situation. This is something the executive has obviously failed to handle in the way they should have. And the separation of powers dictates a certain cautious approach by the courts before stepping into what is the executive's sphere of responsibility.
No, but when the executive fails,
now when does the court come in?
Should the court step in when the executive fails?
Exactly. I'm answering you. Yes, that's the point I'm making. Under the Indian Constitution, unlike constitutions of many other countries, the Indian Supreme Court has enormous powers to step into issues such as this when circumstances warrant it. And definitely the court has found the circumstances warrant it. Dushyant says too little too late. But my point is that a cautious approach of when to step in by the court is definitely required in a democracy and where there's separation of powers. That the court has to step in when the executive absolutely fails in its functions, affecting human rights of citizens. The court has to step in.
Sir, but 140, with due regard, 140 people have, sir, when 140 people have died, more than 1,000,
feel it's too
sure,
soon.
But when 140 people have died, thousands have been displaced, there is an element of ethnic divide of a kind that is rarely seen. Kukis in one part, Meiteis in one part. I mean, all of that is deeply troubling. So are you saying that the court should not have a court-monitored probe of these incidents?
That's why. I think a time has come when the court will seriously have to consider having a court-monitored probe. But this is an issue which is partly political, greatly social, hugely legal. It involves all. Now, the executive fails, the court steps in when human rights are involved. This is not a policy matter where courts don't step in. Human rights get involved, court does step in. Unless the executive can satisfy the court that it is going to earnestly and will capably deal with the situation, I believe the court will have to step in, like they had to step in very often in the past, and put up sits and special investigation teams to deal with the matter.
But
if you ask me, has the time now come for the court to come into it? Yes, the time has now come. And like I said, there's never a right time.
Okay.
Some will say it's too early, some will say it's too late. It's always a situation when you have a separation of powers.
Okay.
But at this juncture, so let's talk of the present and the future, immediate future. What's to be done? I think the court has taken session of it. And I'm slightly more optimistic than Dushyant when I say that I do believe that something is going to turn around now.
Can I ask you, Mr. Dave, there will be those, and this was argued by one of the lawyers in court, saying court must look at also what's happening in West Bengal. Courts must also look at, instances of rape that take place in other states. Now, you could even turn the clock back to other instances of mass violence. Forget, what's happened in Manipur. Look at what happened over the years. How far can the court go? This whataboutery. The Chief Justice made it very clear, you cannot compare one instance with the other. But do you believe that because this is politically so fraught, therefore the court willy-nilly will get caught in a political argument now? The BJP will say, why don't you go into Bengal?
Well, let me say one thing very clearly. Nobody can condone violence of any kind in any state. And I have no doubt that the law and order machinery is taking care of the situation in the states that they are complaining about. But it's now become a fashion on the part of the Bharatiya Janata Party that as and when it fails to really help the people who need their help and allows this violence to perpetrate, and there is no doubt in my mind that the violence in Manipur has taken place not just because the government failed, but because the government of Manipur wanted to fail. Let's be very clear about it. I mean, here is a Prime Minister who has not said a word about Manipur violence while he sheds tears for his cheetahs and tigers, from time to time. It's really sad to see the Prime Minister keeping this kind of a silence on an issue which is really very, very serious. Because here is a group of minorities, the Christians, who are being targeted.
No, Meiteis have also, let me correct you, sir. Meiteis have also suffered. Both communities have suffered. My point is, when you make a statement like that...
Don't interrupt, Raddeep.
Okay.
I am also aware that Meiteis have suffered. But there is no doubt that the Christians have suffered much more. And it is now a pattern in this country that the minorities are suffering much more. Yes, in the process, some majority community people will suffer. But minorities are being targeted across the states. And therefore, it is the duty of the Supreme Court. My good friend, Mr. Haryana Sundaram, in one hand says that police failed, executive failed, but Supreme Court should not step in. Then again, he says time has come, Supreme Court should step in. I feel Supreme Court should have stepped in the day it was moved, because government of Manipur and central government were looking the other way.
But is it a political minefield? Dushyant Dave, if the court steps in, are they stepping into a political minefield?
No, not at all. Court is a custodian of the fundamental rights. Right to life is most important of the valued and cherished human rights under the Constitution. And if that right is being violated in such a systematic manner, we have seen, Raddeep, this happening in 1984 in Delhi and other places. We have seen it happen in Gujarat in 2002. We are seeing this again in Manipur. I mean, it is time. Every time court has failed. In 84, it didn't step in. In 2002, it stepped in too late. And now again in Manipur, it is stepping in with, very cautious approach. I don't understand why caution. People have died. People are being raped. Their properties are destroyed. Communities are divided. Court should have put the healing touch much earlier by bringing in best people to really stop the violence. You have to take action against the police. Suspend them, all the officers. Suspend the bureaucrats who are responsible. And pass strictures against the state government.
So you don't see that as court taking over executive powers? If court starts suspending police officers, is that taking over executive powers?
Not at all. I will give you a classic example. When Allahabad High Court was attacked by the, some policemen way back, and police was not able to protect the judges and lawyers, Chief Justice Venkat Chalaya issued directions that army should enter Allahabad High Court and protect. And CRPF should enter, and others, and they entered within a matter of 2 hours. So when it comes to them, the judges are very, very clear that yes, we must use powers to stop violence. When it comes to innocent citizens, the judges are extremely slow and thinking for months together as to what is to be done. I must say that I am deeply disappointed in Chief Justice Chandrachud and his colleagues. I think they have failed miserably. They failed the nation.
So you don't go by the strong observation that Justice Chandrachud has made both a couple of weeks ago and today. You say that's not enough. You say observations are not enough. You need action on the ground. The truth, of course, is that it required some of those observations for the government now to say they will pull the cases out of Manipur. They are ready to take even the gang rape case out of Manipur. Do you believe that in a way also Aryama Sundaram is possibly a solution? These cases cannot be prosecuted in Manipur. Some are suggesting they've got to be taken out to ensure fairness. What does that say about our system?
No, I don't think it's a simple case of fairness. Their point is these cases are incendiary. They are really flaring up. When the case goes on, there are going to be more and more emotions coming up. It's already a sensitive situation. Taking the case out is not casting any kind of aspersion on the justice delivery system in Manipur. It is to see to it that that this whole thing in the case going on doesn't flare up tensions which are already there. It is a wise thing to do. Certainly a wise thing to do in the given circumstances from that angle.
But do you think it's too late? But do you think that we will actually be able to prosecute effectively? We've seen in the past, in cases involving mass violence, the courts have often not been able to prosecute. I'll give you an example of Mumbai 92, where over 1,000 people died. Barely 2 dozen people eventually were convicted. Is it too late? Should there be another? Is there another way?
Despite Justice Sri Krishna's report.
Justice Sri Krishna's report was thrown into the Arabian Sea sadly when the government changed. Yes, Mr. Sudram.
The fact is, Rajdeep, when on the one hand you're saying is it too late? I'm sorry, but I have to re-emphasize one aspect. Whether we like it or not, when you live in a democracy which goes strongly by separation of powers, there is a tendency that one could interfere into the realm of the others. If the legislature or the executive was to step into the judiciary's shoes, I know that people would be screaming and saying, how can the legislative or the executive step into the judiciary's shoes? The judiciary has to, whether you like it or not, by the system of separation of powers, allow the state to do its function. This judiciary should come in only when there's no other option. Now,
maybe that stage has been reached in Manipur.
Dave feels the judiciary should come in earlier. The fact is the judiciary cannot be a Don Quixote and in every matter come in as and when. Then you have an equal risk of it becoming a judicial dictatorship, which it cannot be. So the point is, it is a very difficult thing to time. I may agree with you that here the judiciary has stepped in a bit too late. Not too late to do anything, but a bit later than what they should have. But it's always a very, very difficult decision to take as to when to step in. And when to step into an area which it is really the executive function to do. What the judiciary tries to do then is to nudge, to push, to shove the executive to do its functions and do it fairly. And that is what you mean by court monitored.
Okay. One final word from you, Mr. Dave. Judicial dictatorship is one view that critics will have, but there will be others who will say that, look, when the executive is failing, when parliament cannot debate Manipur, when the prime minister remains silent on it, when the chief minister is accused of partisanship, the only way out is the court. Should we have more faith in the court than perhaps you have at the moment?
Look, I'll tell you a classic example. The 1992 judgment in, second judge's case. The Supreme Court, grabbed the power from the government to appoint judges in High Courts and Supreme Court, rewriting the Constitution. So it's not that Supreme Court doesn't take away the powers from the executive from time to time. They did it for good reason. Whether it has been successful or failure, that's a separate issue. Right. I feel under separation of power theory, if any one of the organs of the state fails to perform the constitutional duties imposed upon it, because who protects the right to life? It's the executive. If the executive has failed to protect the lives of the citizens, then certainly some via media has to be found. Some solution has to be found.
A Supreme Court monitored probe. Supreme Court monitored probe in a fixed time, with a fixed time frame, with officers who are seen as credible is the way forward. Am I correct?
And headed by a retired Chief Justice like Chief Justice Lodha or Justice Thakur, who are impeccable.
Okay.
You know, something like that. Otherwise, it's all mockery. What's happening? I mean, people are dying. What are you going to do? How will you give them 5 lakhs and 10 lakhs and forget about them? I mean, do you realize people who have lost their near and dear ones? What must be happening through their mind? Do you realize what will happen to the children of these women who have been publicly paraded and raped? And you are now confining the case to 5 people. The whole crowd was there. You should prosecute the entire crowd. I mean, what is happening to this country? Civility is dead. Humanity is dead. That people see this and don't even intervene to stop. I mean, we must learn something. We must bring humanity back into us, civility back into us. We must become a cultural nation.
So
we have become completely uncultured.
Okay, let me leave it there. Those are very strong words. Hopefully someone is listening. Remember, the court will continue with its hearings tomorrow and hopefully be passing an order on this case. Manipur remains our top focus. Aryama Sundaram, Dushyant Dave, always great to have 2 articulate lawyers joining us on our face-off here. Let's turn from there to an exclusive that we have with an MLA who's really now, in a way, put the chicken in the situation in Manipur, the cat among the pigeons rather, as the centre begins the process for talks with Mete and Kuki Zo communities. Kuki BJP MLA Paulo Nel Haukip has now called for the bifurcation of the state, while the Chief Minister N. Biren Singh has categorically rejected any such proposal. The BJP MLA now has gone on record saying it's the only way forward in order to restore peace and tranquility in the state. Let's go straight across to Mr. Haukip. The BJP MLA, a Kuki himself, joins me. Mr. Haukip, you have now questioned the way the centre and state have handled the Manipur violence. Are you saying that you don't see the Mite and Kuki people being able to come together and live together with a healing touch? Are you saying that that is simply not possible anymore?
Well, Rajdeep, thank you for having me. And as I always say, the healing touch would be to recognize the separation and to let allow the 2 communities live with mutual dignity and mutual respect. Forcing, people together in a bad marriage would not be the right approach at this point.
Now, are you saying, when you say separate state, are you calling for a separate administration for a Kuki community within Manipur? Will this not essentially, are you calling for the breakup of Manipur?
Rajdeep, you cannot want the territory and not want the people, So, if you don't want the people, you have no right to claim that the territorial integrity of the state should be preserved. It is only when you show love and justice and the right attitude as leader of the government that you have the moral authority to say such things. Mr. Biren has lost that moral authority.
You're saying Biren Singh has lost the moral authority? And that the Chief Minister, are you calling for the Chief Minister to step down? Are you saying he is part of the problem, not the solution, when you say Biren Singh has lost the moral authority?
Whether he steps down or not is not a concern anymore. If he wants to remain as the Chief Minister, let him be the Chief Minister of that part of the state where he still enjoys support. But for the Kuki Jo community, we are aspiring and we are seeking of the central government to recognize the segregation, the separation in the form of political and administrative arrangement, which will not involve Mr. Biren Singh or the government of Manipur no more.
Have you tried, though, Mr. Haukip, to raise this demand that you have for separate statehood? Have you met the Prime Minister and the Home Minister? Because you are a BJP MLA. The Prime Minister has been silent. The Home Minister was in Manipur for 3 days in May. Have you raised it with them as a BJP MLA that Kuki BJP MLAs now want a separate state?
Well, it is understandable because this is a big decision and the center would need some time. And I'm hopeful that the central government, the Union Home Minister, as well as the Honorable Prime Minister, would recognize the gravity of the situation, the human divide that has been affected under the Biren Singh's leadership, and as citizens of India, would take care of the interest and the aspirations of the Kuki-Zo community also.
But sir, you are, as a sitting MLA of Manipur, of the ruling party, calling for the breakup of your own state. I mean, isn't that a big statement to make? Are you saying today to me that Kuki and Meitei communities can't stay together? Both of them have suffered, sir.
No, Rajdeep, we have seen the creation of Telangana, we have seen the creation of Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh. There are less problems there than the one here in Manipur. And if under less demanding or less deserving circumstances, we can accommodate political aspirations of citizens, I think it is only right that the government of India should seriously consider, because it is an existential crisis for the Kuki-Zo community. We are targeted for annihilation. And you have seen on national television the open threat by the Meitei Lipun chief. It is that kind of arrogance, that kind of attitude that we choose not to live with anymore.
But sir, but there are also Meiteis who have helped Kukis in this time of need. As I've said, both communities have been affected. I mean, surely there must be a way to start a dialogue between the two communities, between responsible citizens in civil society and the political leadership. Are you saying that's simply not possible anymore?
In a civil strife situation, there are bound to be casualties and sufferings on both sides. That is understandable. But the kind of narrative maligning the entire Kuki-Zo community based on trumped-up narratives of, illegal immigration, of drug trafficking, of forest encroachment, this kind of negative narrative is rooted in a certain kind of hatred. Now, if in your state, the majority community doesn't count you as people of the state, which you are, then the only alternative, I think, is for the union government to intervene and recognize our aspiration for a separate administration under the Constitution of India, so that we can live happily as citizens of India like any other citizen elsewhere.
But let's be clear, sir. Many of these targeting of cookies, the allegation that you're saying, the demonization of cookies has been done at times by the Chief Minister himself. He has said this is a war against narco-terrorists. This is a war against infiltrators, cookie chins who are coming from Myanmar. So let's be clear, who's making these allegations? The fact is, it's the Chief Minister of your own party. You're a BJP MLA who is saying that the cookies themselves started this all.
He's been at the head of this hate campaign for quite some time, and his linkages with the radical militia societies or organizations like the Meitei Lipun and the Arambai Tengal is well known to the country by now. And so, but what I like to put here on record is, Rasdeep, a lot of politics is tried to be played by the opposition in parliament. Let's for once go beyond politics and see the existential threat that the Kuki-Zo people are facing today in Manipur. And what is so wrong in protecting a section of the citizens who are being threatened, who are being looked down upon, who are being, so hated that a lot of depravities have been committed on them. What is so wrong in giving them a separate administration under which they can happily live as Indian citizens and pursue their dreams of excellence.
You know, Mr. Haukip, you just said something significant. You say that you're saying the Chief Minister is complicit because you're saying that he has aligned himself with radical Meitei groups. You're going on record to say that as a BJP MLA. On the flip side, the Chief Minister's supporters are saying Kuki militant groups are also responsible for the violence. Are you going to say that Kuki militant groups were not involved at all? Houses of Meiteis were burnt in Churachandpur. The argument that is being made is that that's where the violence started.
The Kuki militant groups are in no way involved as far as the Solidarity March was concerned or anything prior to that. They have no involvement whatsoever. It was the old Tribal Students Union Manipur that had called for the Solidarity March against the High Court judgment. So it has nothing to do with militants. The current narrative of this trouble being a war against narco-terrorists, as Mr. Biren calls it, is a narrative to justify the complicity of the state in the violence, nothing else.
You know, you're using again the word complicity of the state in the violence. I repeat, this is a state of which you are part of as a BJP MLA. Do you therefore believe, I come back to that, the removal of Mr. Biren Singh, whom in one way you're holding responsible, will solve the problem? As a BJP leader, are you calling for the removal of your own BJP Chief Minister?
Rasdeep, sometimes you have to go beyond the party line to look at the problem, because a party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, which I have joined for its decisiveness, for its bold steps for the nation, cannot be appropriated by just Biren Singh and a few others. The party is not all about Biren Singh. I am as much a party member, but truth needs to be spoken within the party also. In fact, I had written to the state president before the troubles broke out, expressing my concerns about the way things are handled, the way things are being run by the chief minister. So within the party also, we have every right to air our differences of opinion. That is the spirit of democracy. Just because the chief minister does something, it doesn't mean that I, as a party MLA, would suit or blindly follow it. I don't believe in that kind.
But as I said, Mr. Haukip, you are talking today of a separate state within Manipur, or a separate state being a solution for cookies. But, you know, will the Nagas agree to it? They want a greater Nagaland. You've had Naga-Kuki clashes in the past. Will the Meiteis, who have already made it very clear they will not accept the division of Manipur? Are you simply trying to put pressure on the centre? And what happens if the demand that you are calling is not considered? Does the violence simply continue?
Exactly. The demand have been put across by the negotiating team, that is the SO groups that had been engaged with the central government in talks prior to the violence also, and now under a new framework, which is no longer trilateral but bilateral now. They have already put up the demands for separation from Manipur, and we look forward to the central government favorably looking into it and bringing permanent peace in the region, so that the region can also experience the benefits of Indian independence.
But with due regards, sir, tomorrow the Nagas will also then call for a separate state of Greater Nagaland. Groups in Assam will call for Bodoland. Other communities in Tripura, other northeastern states will ask for a separate state. It will open up a Pandora's box.
Even the Nagas have been wanting to separate from Manipur. Because, Rasdeep, if you look back at the political history of Manipur, since even before statehood, The constitutional provisions protecting the rights of tribal have been systematically neglected.
Yes, but let me just ask you one last time. If the centre doesn't agree to this, if this demand for a separate cookie state is not considered, are you going to resign from the BJP? Is that an ultimatum in a way that you're offering?
Well, in politics, nothing is off the table, Rasdeep, and we'll cross that bridge when we reach there, because I cannot speak based on speculation.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of hope, and I'll stick to that hope for now.
Okay, so you have hope that the centre will agree to your demand for a separate state. The Manipur Chief Minister has made it clear that's not on the table. A BJP MLA is now coming out and calling for a separate cookie state. Remember, he's one of 10 cookie MLAs who seem to be echoing that demand. Mr. Haukip, for coming and speaking so plainly, calling it a complicity of the state, I appreciate your joining us. You've set the cat among the pigeons. Let's take a break. When we return, we're turning to the story of what's been happening in a railway compartment that has gone horribly wrong, and courage and resilience of young children who fled from Manipur. We'll tell you that story on the other side. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Several villages in Turbang areas were burned in the ethnic clashes, the violence and all. I see only the footprints, everything that burned to these ashes. They blame for everything that is happening here to the cookie government.
We are only defending ourselves.
There is a literally line of this area towards the cookie side where you have a huge number of bunkers. No one could ever imagine that in a state, in the same country, in the same district, we will ever see such situation which has become a battlefield. And I could say this is a war zone in Manipur.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting, only on India Today TV.
Welcome back. Let's turn for the other shocker that's coming in today. A Railway Protection Force Jawan killed 4 people on a train from Jaipur to Mumbai. The victims included 3 passengers and an RPF assistant sub-inspector. The incident took place on the Jaipur Express. Some politicians are imputing a communal angle. Take a look.
They were a team on duty barely 24 hours ago. But in a horrific turn of events, one is dead and his subordinate the killer. At 5:30 a.m. in B5 coach of Jaipur MMCT Express 12956, RPF Constable Chetan allegedly opened fire at his escort in charge, Tikaram, an assistant sub-inspector in Railway Protection Force. Chetan also shot dead 3 other civilians travelling in the Jaipur Express. 2 have been identified as Asghar Ali from Jaipur and Kader Bhanpurala from Nalasopara in Mumbai. The 4th victim is yet to be identified. Prelim probe states that the accused, Chetan, complained of mental harassment and was upset with ASI Tikaram.
Total 4 are dead
उसको मीरा रोड स्टेशन पे उसको डिटेन कर लिया गया है।
सर इसने ऐसा क्यों किया? जी जी
ऑटोमेटिक वेपन है, उसको वेपन भी रिकवर किया है। फिलहाल कोई खतरे की बात नहीं है, उसको पकड़ा गया।
सर इसने ऐसा क्यों किया? इसके पीछे कुछ वजह?
इसकी मानसिक अवस्था ठीक नहीं थी, प्रिलिमिनरी यही इंफॉर्मेशन मिली है।
ओके ओके,
मेंटली डिस्टर्ब था, इस टाइप का इंफॉर्मेशन प्रिलिमिनरी उपलब्ध हुआ है।
Misfired bullet marks were seen on the door of the coach, where the horror unfolded. According to sources, RPF Constable Chetan started to fire on his senior Tika Ram as the train passed from Palgad railway station. 3 other passengers were also hit. He used a modified version of AK-47 AKM assault rifle for the crime and fired at least 12 rounds. Chetan then tried to pull the chain to escape near the Hisar station. Train stopped at Mira Road station where he was immediately taken into custody by Mumbai police. By the time the train reached Borivali, 4 dead bodies were retrieved by GRP and RPF. Postmortem will be done to ascertain further details of the incident.
ये अभी इसके सब अनकन्फर्म रिपोर्ट्स हैं। अभी इसके बारे में एग्जैक्टली जानकारी प्राप्त करके ही कंफर्म किया जाएगा। मानसिक वाली ऐसी कोई बात अभी नहीं।
A journey to safeguard passengers ended in a terrible tragedy of quadruple murders, leaving many questions unanswered. With Deepesh Tripathi and Divyesh Singh in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Tragic story there. Well, as I said, we've been tracking passionately the story in Manipur for several weeks now. We've heard stories of despair, of people who've lost their loved ones. Tonight, I want to leave you with a story of courage and resilience, of the young children who fled from Manipur amidst the violence and are now finding some hope and support in Delhi schools. I can only hope that one day they grow up to be bright young Indian citizens and can provide the healing touch. Metes, cookies, we want them all to be Indians first. I leave you tonight with this story from Shreya, a heartwarming tale of strength and perseverance. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
From killing, gunfights, and arson in Manipur to the classroom in Delhi. These children have traversed a long distance in a very short period.
How did you guys make your journey?
It's like first we came at Gyanvapi in Imphal. Yeah, and then it's from there we were evacuated in the CRPF camp near Langol, and then from there we stayed like 1 week and 1 day, and then from there we came in Delhi.
This is such a lovely class. The government's initiative to admit students from Manipur in Delhi schools is a step in giving them a fresh start. But it is not an easy task for them. Even as these children attend classes here, they are worried about the safety of their loved ones in Manipur.
It was the entire journey.
It was
difficult, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was hard because I left my mom. I separated with my mom just to continue my study. It's been more than 5 months that I have 5 months that I haven't seen my mom and dad.
You will get better.
I just want to say that to bring peace and justice for us.
All this time we have to stay alert. If we didn't stay alert, our life will be gone. It's really hard there. My father used to go in the border area to guard our land, and my mother is just staying at home.
Like the partition ring,
Teachers at this government school in RK Puram have started a buddy program so that students from Manipur can easily mingle with others here.
Ma'am, her name is Hatmini and her is Kim Lan Chong and his name is Christopher and his name is Cam Koshe.
Okay, so you guys enjoying with everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छे से दोस्ती बन रही?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
क्या क्या सिखाया है?
कुछ वर्ड सिखाए हैं,
अभी कुछ बता के
जैसे थोड़ा थोड़ा।
कुछ और बताने के लिए
क्या करते हो?
कुछ नहीं करता।
सीख गए।
Kaki pae.
काकी
Pae.
काकी
Kaki pae.
That is, I am happy in Manipuri. Once again, loud.
Kaki pae. Kaki pae.
We have a wonderful set of teachers here who are guiding my students, and the new students who have come in are I hope, adjusting quite well with my original students, the ones who are already studying in the school. And in the 11th class, we have this buddy system where we have paired children with a new child, with an old student, so that they can sit together, eat together, study together, and play games together.
And the students are not giving up hope. If anything, the tragedy that struck Manipur has only made their resolve tough.
I want to be an army.
You want to be in the army?
Yeah.
Why do you want to be in the army?
It's like because so every one of us are going to die one day. Like that's obviously going to happen. But I chose it because at least I can die like for our country or maybe help someone else.
You want to die for your country?
Yeah.
With this message of diversity, where people from Manipur, where students from Manipur are finding solace in a school in the national capital of the country, we only hope that such programs, such messages be extended for the people of Manipur who are going through an extremely disturbing time. And as one of the students said, that they are finally happy that they were able to come from the state of Manipur, even if their parents are still there, they're happy that they are now meeting new friends and finding peace in the national capital. With video journalist Deepak Bisht, this is Shreya Chatterjee for India Today.
Forecast now. Delhi, maximum 39 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 29 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 36 and minimum 27 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 28 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 29 and minimum 23 degrees. Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 39 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 29 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 36 and minimum 27 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 28 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 29 and minimum 23 degrees.
Powered by the new Kia Seltos, the badass reborn. Extra safe polycab green wire.
Coming in here on India's first, two Haryana home guard jawans have been shot dead in the violence that started during a Vishwa Hindu Parishad procession earlier this evening in the afternoon, actually, in the new area of Haryana. This is not very far from the national capital. In fact, the new area is the Mewat region of Haryana, just on the outskirts of Delhi, where an extended standoff took place. There were communal clashes, a huge amount of damage, and we can confirm now that two Home Guard jawans have been killed. At least 10 10 police personnel have been injured. They've been removed from there. There was a standoff situation for at least 3 hours in which multiple buses, vans, police cars and other vehicles were torched. There was a huge amount of fire and smoke that was visible from quite a distance. There was a lot of stone pelting. Cars have been set ablaze. Now, this was a minority-dominated area where this particular procession was taking place. This was a Shobha Yatra of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, where violence broke out, and it took a long time before things were brought under control. There was a situation where hundreds of people were reportedly stranded inside a temple as well because of the raging violence that was taking place. But the breaking news that we're getting to you right now is that two Haryana Home Guard jawans have died in the crossfire. We're not sure of precisely how they died. Was it in stone pelting? Was it in firing? But this is a major escalation in the situation as we speak. We're joined now by India Today's Sushant Mehra as well as Arvind Ojha for more on this. Sushant, coming to you first. What's the latest? What is the situation right now? Are things under control right now, or are they still tense?
हरियाणा के मेवात में भगवा यात्रा पर हुए हमले के बाद दो गुटों में हिंसा जो है जिस तरीके से भड़की है उसकी आग अब धीरे धीरे सोहना तक पहुंच गई है। इस वक्त हम मौजूद है गुरुग्राम के सोहना में। आपको तस्वीरें दिखा दें कि सोहना की तरफ जाने वाले रास्ते को फिलहाल पुलिस की तरफ से बैरिकेड बंद करके रोक दिया गया है। तमाम गाड़ियों को वापस जाने की हिदायत जो है वो दी जा रही है। पुलिस का कड़ा बंदोबस्त जो है वो किया गया है कि यहाँ से अगर आप आगे जाते हैं तो जान का खतरा जो है वो बन सकता है, क्योंकि काफी ज्यादा यहाँ पर अगर कहा जाए तो मॉब इकट्ठा है, हिंसा घटनाएं हो रही हैं। फिलहाल वहां पर जाने की इजाजत जो है वो फिलहाल पुलिस की तरफ से नहीं दी जा रही है। सिर्फ पुलिसकर्मी जो हैं उन्हीं को जाने की इजाजत जो है वो दी जा रही है। आप देख सकते हैं कि तमाम ये गाड़ियां हैं जो कि आगे की तरफ जाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जिनके घर हैं उनको फिलहाल यहाँ से डाइवर्ट जो है वो फिलहाल ट्रैफिक पुलिस की तरफ से किया जा रहा है। यहाँ से तकरीबन अगर कहा जाए तो आधा किलोमीटर की दूरी पर पुलिस के आला अधिकारी खुद मौके पर हैं, पूरी स्थिति का जायजा ले रहे हैं कि क्या कुछ वहां पर परिस्थितियां हैं। अभी आप देख सकते हैं कि ये पुलिस की गाड़ी है, फिलहाल इन्हीं को जाने की इजाजत जो है वो फिलहाल यहाँ पर दी जा रही है।
By both Sushant Mehra as well as Arvind Ojha, who heads our crime team and is looking into the after effects of what was a major spike in violence, bad enough that two jawans from the Haryana Home Guard have been killed in the clashes. अरविंद, अभी माहौल कैसा है वहां पर? क्या कंट्रोल में आ गया है सिचुएशन?
नहीं, बिल्कुल देखिए, सिचुएशन फिलहाल पुलिस के लोग ये जरूर दावा कर रहे हैं कि सिचुएशन कंट्रोल में है, लेकिन जो सोर्सेज हैं वो बताते हैं कि फिलहाल चाहे गुरुग्राम का सोहना हो या फिर मेवात का जो इलाका है, वो अभी वहां पर सिचुएशन काफी ज्यादा खराब है। और एक सैड न्यूज भी आई है, अनफॉर्चुनेट है। गुरुग्राम के कमिश्नर ने इंडिया टुडे को बताया है कि जो मेवात में आज हिंसा हुई है, जो रॉयटिंग हुई है, उसमें 2 होम गार्ड्स उनकी मौत हो गई है, जबकि 10 से ज्यादा जो पुलिस पर्सनल है वो काफी ज्यादा इंजर्ड है। तो ये एक सैड न्यूज आई है, लेकिन इसके साथ ही शिव, आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि अगर जो पुलिसकर्मी है वो उनमें से 2 की मौत हो जाती है होमगार्ड्स की, और पुलिसकर्मी इतने इंजर्ड हैं, तो फिर वहां की स्थिति क्या होगी? वहां जो यात्रा में लोग थे या फिर जो सिविलियंस थे या एक दूसरे को मरने मारने पर जो उतारू थे, उनकी क्या स्थिति होगी? काफी डिस्टर्बिंग विजुअल्स का जो पिक्चर्स हैं वो मेवात से आज देखने को मिले हैं। कई गाड़ियों को आग के हवाले किया गया है, काफी ज्यादा स्टोन पेल्टिंग हुई है, फायरिंग हुई है, और फायरिंग पुलिस की तरफ से तो हवाई फायरिंग हुई थी भीड़ को हटाने के लिए, लेकिन जो सोर्सेज है, जो तस्वीरें आई हैं, उसमें ये बताया गया है कि आम लोग भी फायरिंग कर रहे थे। तो अभी जो लेटेस्ट अपडेट आई है, गुरुग्राम कमिश्नर ने जो इंडिया टुडे को बताया है कि जो मेवात में पूरी हिंसा हुई है दिन भर, उसमें 2 होम गार्ड्स उनकी मौत हुई है, जबकि 10 से ज्यादा जो पुलिसकर्मी है वो इंजर्ड है, बैडली इंजर्ड है। फिलहाल वहां पर अब एक्स्ट्रा जो पुलिस फोर्स है वो डिप्लॉय की गई है। जो लोग शोभा यात्रा में थे और फंस चुके थे, शिव आपको बताऊं, जब ये दंगा हुआ तो कई जगह पर फंस चुके थे, उनको अब धीरे धीरे करके प्राइवेट बस से रेस्क्यू कराया जा रहा है, उनको उनके घर भेजा जा रहा है। कितना नुकसान हुआ है इसकी जानकारी आज लेट नाइट तक आएगी, लेकिन जो हालात है वो बहुत ज्यादा मेवात में फिलहाल खराब है।
अरविंद, हमारे साथ बने रहिए। सुशांत मेहरा is also live with me from the Sona area, which is also apparently affected. Sushant, 2 home guards killed, hundreds of people, living in fear at this point of time. What is the current situation? The Haryana government has appealed for peace, and they've said that things are under control right now, but there must still be a lot of tension in the air. What is the current situation?
देखिए शिव, जिस तरीके से हरियाणा पुलिस की तरफ से बयान जारी करके ये कहा गया है कि किसी भी तरीके की अफवाहों पर ध्यान ना दें। मेरी मौजूदगी सोना रोड के उस चौक पर है जहां से आगे जाने की इजाजत जो है वो फिलहाल हरियाणा पुलिस की तरफ से किसी को भी नहीं दी जा रही है। आप देख सकते हैं कि बाकायदा यहाँ पर बैरिकेड्स जो है वो कर दिए गए हैं, ट्रैफिक पुलिस यहाँ पर मौजूद है, हरियाणा पुलिस यहाँ पर मौजूद है। यहाँ से आगे जाने की इजाजत, किसी भी ट्रैफिक मूवमेंट को फिलहाल जो है वो बंद कर दी गई है। यहाँ से तकरीबन आधा किलोमीटर की दूरी पर अम्बेडकर चौक है जहाँ पर हिंसाएं घटनाएं हो रही है। सिचुएशन काफी ज्यादा टेंस है और ऐसे में जो लोग यहाँ पर रहते हैं उनको फिलहाल जो है वो यहाँ पर डाइवर्ट किया गया है। जो पैदल आसपास के कॉलोनियों में रहते हैं उनको ही जाने की इजाजत जो है वो दी जा रही है, लेकिन अकेले जाने की इजाजत जो है वो नहीं दी गई है। और इसके अलावा मैं आपको बता दूं कि यहाँ से तकरीबन आधा किलोमीटर पे जो अम्बेडकर चौक है, वहाँ परिस्थिति आप देख सकते हैं कि पुलिस के तमाम आला अधिकारी जो है लगातार यहाँ पर गश्त कर रहे हैं। उन्हीं को पूरी गाड़ी चेक करने के बाद ही आगे जाने की इजाजत जो है वो दी जा रही है। अब से थोड़ी देर पहले काफी बड़ी संख्या में पुलिस बल को जो है वो यहाँ पर आगे की तरफ जाने की इजाजत दी गई थी। मीडिया कर्मियों को भी फिलहाल जो है वो यहाँ पर रोक दिया गया है कि इससे आगे आप नहीं जाइए, क्योंकि सिचुएशन जो है वो काफी ज्यादा वर्स्ट है। लोग काफी ज्यादा फंसे हुए हैं, उनको निकालने की कोशिश, काफी संख्या में जो पुलिस बल है, पुलिस के आलाधिकारी हैं, बैक टू बैक इस पूरे इलाके का मुआयना कर रहे हैं। क्योंकि ये जो पूरा रूट है, अगर आप समझेंगे तो यहीं से नू और मेवात के लिए रास्ता जो है वो जाता है, और ऐसे में इस पूरे रूट पर काफी ज्यादा हिंसा घटनाएं जो है वो हुई हैं और लगातार जारी है। और ऐसे में अगर आगे की तरफ जाते हैं तो खतरा काफी ज्यादा जो है वो बड़ा हुआ, और इसी को कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश जो है वो पुलिस की तरफ से की जा रही है। 2 पुलिस कर्मियों की
Arvind Oja's teams will be tracking this story overnight because things are still extremely tense. Continues to be a priority story for us here on India Today. Overnight, we'll be getting you the latest updates right here on India Today.
Amid the ongoing legal dispute over the Gyanvapi complex in Varanasi, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has called it a historical mistake, and that calling Gyanvapi a mosque would spark a dispute. He also asked the Muslim side to step forward to find a solution to this issue. Here's a detailed report.
देखिए, अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा. हमें ज्ञानवापी बोल देना चाहिए.
The Gyanvapi is not a mosque, declares Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. A statement that raises the stakes in the Kashi Vishwanath dispute now being heard by the courts.
ये प्रस्ताव मुस्लिम समाज की तरफ से आना चाहिए.
क्या ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद को लेकर प्रॉब्लम का कोई सोल्यूशन है?
देखिए, अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा. हमें ज्ञानवापी बोल देना चाहिए. मुझे लगता है कि भगवान ने जिसको दृष्टि दी है वो देखे ना, त्रिशूल मस्जिद के अंदर क्या कर रहा है. ज्योतिर्लिंग हैं, देव प्रतिमाएं हैं. अगर हम उसको
The Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister, speaking to a news agency, called the mosque a historical mistake that needs correction.
हमने तो नहीं रखे ना, ज्योतिर्लिंग हैं. और मुझे लगता है कि ये प्रस्ताव मुस्लिम समाज की तरफ से आना चाहिए कि साहब ऐतिहासिक गलती हुई है और उस गलती के लिए हम चाहते हैं समाधान हो.
Chief Minister Adityanath's statement comes ahead of the Allahabad High Court's verdict on ASI survey at the Gyanvapi complex expected on August 3rd. The Muslim petitioner who has challenged a lower court order allowing the survey said that no statements should be made outside the court.
मेरा ये मानना है कि जब कोई मामला सब जुडिशियल हो तो उस पर कोर्ट के बाहर किसी भी तरीके की बयानबाजी नहीं होनी चाहिए. कोर्ट के बाहर गुफ्तगू करने का ही ये नतीजा रहा कि मुल्क में बड़े पैमाने पर हिंदू मुसलमानों के दरमियान टेंशन बढ़ी है.
The Hindu petitioner welcomed Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's statement.
सत्य को स्वीकार करना या किसी से कहना कि सत्य को स्वीकार कर लीजिए, तो गलती क्या है? ये तो मुस्लिम पक्ष को उन्होंने जगाया है कि आप सो रहे हो. आप देखो इतिहास क्या है.
The opposition has trained their guns on the Chief Minister.
देखिए, ये इसको कहते हैं मुख्यमंत्री इस बात को जानते हैं कि इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट में एएसआई सर्वे के बारे में मुस्लिम पक्ष ने उसकी मुखालिफत की है. वो आजकल में हाई कोर्ट जजमेंट देने वाली है. आप मुख्यमंत्री है, कानून को फॉलो करिए. आप कानून को फॉलो नहीं करना चाह रहे, वो मुसलमानों पर प्रेशर डालना चाह रहे, दबाव डालना चाह रहे हैं.
देखिए, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हाईएस्ट पोस्ट पे बैठे हुए किसी भी शख्स को इस तरह की गैर जिम्मेदाराना बात नहीं करना चाहिए. जब कोई भी मामला अदालत में हो, कोर्ट में हो, तो चीफ मिनिस्टर को ऐसी भाषा करके ये बात समझ में आती है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने योगी आदित्यनाथ जी को जो ध्रुवीकरण की कमान है वो उनको दे दी है.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद.
Should a chief minister have commented on a matter that is sub judice? Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's reiteration that the Gyanvapi is not a mosque but a temple has raised questions of propriety.
ये प्रस्ताव मुस्लिम समाज की तरफ से आना चाहिए.
Bureau Report, India Today.
गलती हुई है और उस गलती के लिए हम चाहते हैं समाधान हो.
Now, the legal battle has had twists and turns for many, many months now. Now, the archaeological survey of the mosque is on hold till the 3rd of August. The Muslim side has filed a petition in the Allahabad High Court, and there is a stay on that ASI survey until August the 2nd. So, August the 3rd is when the Allahabad High Court will then pick up that issue and pronounce on it. The petition was challenging the Varanasi Court's survey order to the Archaeological Survey of India. The Allahabad High Court has reserved its order in the matter and will make that verdict known on the 3rd of August. The judgment is to be delivered on that day, and depending on what the Allahabad High Court decides, it could either stop the survey or pave the way for that Archaeological Survey of India survey at the Gyanvapi complex. Vishnu Shankar Jain is live and exclusive with me here in the India Today studio. Vishnu ji, welcome. My first question to you, sir, is what do you make of Chief Minister Yogi's statement in this interview?
See, I feel and I believe that the facts of Gyanvapi are very, very glaring. And if someone in the society does not want to admit these glaring facts, for example, the Western Wall, for example, the Hindu Mandir Shikhars which are present beneath the 3 central domes, for example, the pillars which are there in the various parts of Gyanvapi which are Hindu mandir pillars. For example, there are various defaced idols. For example, there are various idols which are in broken and mutilated condition. For example, there are shloks of Sanskrit, Trishul, swastik, number of chins, shivling in the Vazu tank. If apart from these many facts, if someone says that it's a mosque, then I think this litigation we are fighting before the courts of law, and we will make all endeavors to prove before the court of law that this is not a mosque, but this is an old temple structure.
You know, the comments made by Yogi Adityanath have been, they have in many ways been interpreted as overreach by a politician, since this issue is currently in court. Vishnuji, you've got the AIMIM, you've got the Samajwadi Party saying it's totally inappropriate for the Chief Minister to make such comments because he's in a position of power. What do you think?
See, let me just put this legal position before you very straight. And the legal position is that UP government is not having any formal role in the litigation or any very important role in the litigation. This is a list between Anjuman Intizamiya and Hindu devotees. So if UP government was playing an active role as a litigant, then ideally whatever is the allegation, I would have said that yes, that allegation is correct. And if UP government is litigating as a litigator in the case, then a Chief Minister or a head of the state shouldn't have made such a statement. But UP government is not a litigator in this matter. This is a litigation between Anjuman Intizamiya and Hindu devotees. Apart from that, I want to ask and say very, very carefully and with lot of sense of responsibility, there is no order from the Supreme Court or the High Court or the District Court Varanasi restraining anyone from speaking on the issue. This issue is in the public domain. Everyone is seeing in the country the pictures which are being played by various television channels as well as your channels, and we are debating upon those pictures and we are forming an opinion. Can someone restrict anyone from forming an opinion? This Western Wall, if I am having a view that this Western Wall, or a Chief Minister of State is having a view that this Western Wall is a ruins of a Hindu temple, what's wrong in it? He can have his own view, but ultimately the law will take its own course and the matter will be settled before the court of law. And under section 89 of the CPC, as a politician and as a head of the state, every endeavor can be made to settle the matter before the final verdict. It happened in Ram Mandir case in 2010. It happened before the Supreme Court in 2019, where all the legislators had taken active part in settling the dispute.
Okay, but the important point here, of course, is that this needs to be settled in court, even though what the UP Chief Minister has said, has set the political agenda, and that's why you're seeing all these reactions. Vishnuji, my third question to you is, we've seen Yogi Adityanath refer to very specific symbols like the Trishul inside the complex, which is something you are very familiar with. You have submitted details, about this to court. We've seen very specific Hindu imagery, like the Trishul, what could be, claimed to be the faces of deities, etc. You've submitted all of this in court. What can you tell us about these symbols? Because this is precisely what is under dispute right now and will be the subject of a survey.
See, the most important evidence in the so-called structure which is called a Gyanvapi mosque is the name itself. There is no name called Gyanvapi under any Islamic literature. Under any Islamic literature, point number one. Point number two, the second best piece of evidence is the Western Wall. Western Wall is not constructed by Aurangzeb. I am today saying on your channel with lot of sense of authority. And when the ASI survey will happen on the Western Wall, it will prove to hilt that this Western Wall is prior in time than 1669. Then the third most important piece of evidence is the three shikars of Hindu Mandir, which are beneath the central dome, then beneath all three domes. Then apart from that, the pillars on which the so-called mosque is standing, that pillars are pillars of Hindu temple. The bells are there existing at the site in question. The Trishul is there, swastik is there, defaced idols are there, mutilated idols are there, Sanskrit shloks are there, swastik chins are there, number of signs are there. Apart from that, shivling is there in the Vazu tank, and there is still a way which is going beneath the central dome to go down, and in the basement that inquiry and investigation has to be made. So that so-called structure is full of signs and symbols which shows and demonstrates that this is not a Islamic architecture, this is not a structure which is built by Aurangzeb, and therefore we are asking for Archaeological Survey of India to survey that entire area and submit its report before the Honorable Court.
So that survey, Vishnuji, is on hold till August the 2nd. Are you hopeful of a favourable order from the Allahabad High Court? Yes. What are you doing in the interim? And also give us a sense of what that survey will actually look like.
See, the survey which is going to happen which is sub judice before the Honorable Allahabad High Court. The verdict is going to be delivered on 3rd of August. And as a litigator, as a lawyer representing one side, I believe and I feel that we have been able to convince the court, and the Honorable Court will give a judgment in our favor, thereby directing the Archaeological Survey of India to conduct a survey over the premises in question. And if such an order is passed, I feel and I believe the Archaeological Survey of India has also submitted an affidavit before the Honorable Court saying that we will not damage or destroy the structure, and without damaging or destroying the structure, this entire survey will be done. Archaeological Survey of India is the premier institution of the country, which is known for protecting and preserving a monument. It is never known for destroying or damaging any structure. So these are the contents of the affidavit which has been filed by the Archaeological Survey of India, and I feel that when this survey will happen, there are a lot of modern techniques which will be used by the Archaeological Survey of India. For example, the ground penetrating radar, there will be dating methods, relative dating methods. Apart from that, there will be other modern techniques including the satellite, and then imagery will be done, measurement will be done, mapping will be done, and then Archaeological Survey of India will ultimately submit a report.
Do you think that this entire issue can be settled amicably, or do you think it's going to take a very, very long time?
See, there can be amicable settlement, but the issue is this, that there has to be a proposal, and the proposal has to be I am very categorical on your channel. The proposal has to be this, that the Anjuman Intizamiya has to give us peaceful possession of that property in question. Very peaceful possession they have to give. If they do not give us peaceful possession, then we are fighting our case before the courts of law, and we will get a verdict from the Honorable District Court Varanasi saying that we have right to worship there, and the title and possession of this entire area, Khasra number 9130, belongs to Hindu Paksh.
But is there any possibility of that, Vishnuji? I mean, very practically speaking, because even the Chief Minister in his interview has said, I feel there should be a proposal from the Muslim society that there has been a historical mistake and we need a solution. That is precisely what is under dispute. You know, why would anyone come out and say, let's have a peaceful solution?
See, if someone wants to have a peaceful solution and someone wants to say that, all right, look here, we have committed a mistake in the past and we are not able to prove our case in the courts of law, so it's better than facing a verdict from the court if they leave the premises, and then it will give a good message of brotherhood between the two communities. That will be a welcome step. But if that is not going to happen, definitely we are fighting our case before the Varanasi Civil Court, before the High Court, before the Supreme Court, and we will prove to the hilt. I am telling you again with greatest sense of responsibility, we will prove to the hilt that this structure is not built by Aurangzeb in 1669.
Vishnu Shankar Jain, thank you very much for speaking to India Today on this issue. It's an emotive issue. It's one that goes to the heart of, many people's sentiments as well on both sides. So we'll keep a close track of this situation. We will only report the facts on this case. The Chief Minister of UP, no less, has weighed in on it. He is not a litigant. He is not a party to this entire thing. But his word most definitely counts in the context of what's happening in Uttar Pradesh. Vishnu Shankar Jain, thank you very much for speaking to India Today. And like I said, the Allahabad High Court will be pronouncing its verdict concerning the Archaeological Survey of India survey at the Gyanvapi complex on August the 3rd. Here's a complete detailed report now on the Gyanvapi issue itself. Here's an explainer of where things are at up until this point.
So in the Gyanvapi mosque, this is the Wuzu Khana area where the court-appointed commissioners came first to survey. You see this water, this is the Wuzu Khana where the Muslim devotees wash their hands and feet and then they head out for prayers. Now the court-appointed commissioners asked the water that you see here to be emptied out to find out what is exactly underneath. And then when the water started to be emptied out, the details emerged. What you saw here were these stairs leading down as I walked down this area, and a well. Now, of course, the questions were, what is this well? What is in it? All of those questions were asked by the court-appointed commissioners, but this was only after the water was emptied out. What did the commissioners find out? So this well on your screens is exactly right now the flashpoint that it has become. So what is in this well? When the court-appointed commissioners came, they noticed in what appeared to be something inside the well. Now the Hindu side is convinced that this is exactly the Shivling, representative of Lord Shiva. The Muslim side has objected to it and said this is a fountain that is used for the wuzu khana. Now, as you look closely as what is underneath there, the court-appointed commissioners asked, what are these lines that you see on top of what the Hindu side claims is a shivling? Now, the Muslim side said, and those present at the premises, that these cuts are used for the fountain and eventually for the wuzu khana. The commissioner said then they decided to use a stick or an instrument to dig through these cuts to find out what is the source of the water and where is it for the fountain. Now, it just went through few inches. They could not exactly locate the source of the water, to which the Muslim side replied and said that it is an old fountain, may not be in use right now, but it is a reason that it is used for that. Now, of course, this precisely has become a flashpoint at this point between the two sides. Now, interestingly, there are demands that underneath this floor as well, there's another floor. There are hidden vaults and they need to be explored as well. That, well, will only happen only after a further survey and if the court really gives an order for it. As of now, this area around me is sealed. But it's a hot, heated debate that is now going on for days and clearly will likely continue. And remember, whether it is the AIMIM or it is the BJP, both sides currently at loggerheads